You're in Konoha, and you call these ninja tools? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 True Yin Yang Master. There's something strange about this hammer. After the two men collided, Kokuzu immediately felt a huge and powerful force rushing towards him like a tide. Even though his whole body was hardened by the earth escape ninjutsu, he immediately felt the pain in his fist. How is it possible? This kid's strength? Kokuzu's eyes were full of disbelief, because the strength that the boy in front of him had just exploded was really terrifying. Are you surprised? I only used less than 30% of my strength. You wouldn't find it difficult to resist such a force, right? No way, no way. Your strength shouldn't be limited to this level, right? The true yin-yang master Tianyu said to Kokuzu with a somewhat mocking smile on his face. As expected, Tianyu's words immediately made Kokuzu angry, and he shouted, "Humph! You don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. You just got a few powerful ninja tools from somewhere, and you dare to show off in front of me." Black silk thread suddenly spread out from Kokuzu's body. His originally complete body suddenly became torn into pieces, like a doll torn apart by someone, and all the joints were separated from his body, so more black threads came out of his body. Earth resentment mode. Tianyu's eyes were a little more cautious. As the former treasure of Takigakure, Kokuzu's most powerful secret technique, countless people had died under this move. Go! Kokuzu shouted, and countless black lines gathered into 8 black lines that were thicker than his arms, and surrounded Tianyu from different directions. His hands, feet, arms, thighs, body, and the hammer in his hand. These black lines flying from all directions instantly blocked all his hiding places, especially the hammer in his hand, which was wrapped around him and made him unable to move. What are these black lines? Will the captain be in danger? Quing asked with a pale face, standing aside and a little worried. Don't worry too much. Since Captain Mangayu has already made a move, he must be sure in his heart. We have to believe him. Hideo acted very calmly. He had been in contact with Tianyu for such a long time, and now he has some understanding of Captain Mangayu. He usually wants to make a foolproof plan and prepare everything before he makes a move. He will definitely make a move when he is sure. Since he had invited Lady Tsunade to help, it means that the current strength of the 3 of them is indeed not enough to be his helpers. They just need to protect themselves as Captain Mangayu had ordered before. Hike, aren't you worried about Captain Mangayu? You are not worried that he was tied up by that strange enemy? You were the one who was most concerned about the captain's safety before. Quing looked at Hike on the side and asked curiously. How could I? No, that's not right. Is there anything wrong with me worrying about our captain getting hurt before? Humph, that's our Lord Mangayu. Hike said a little arrogantly, then paused and asked hesitantly, do you feel, this scene in front of you seems a little familiar? Familiar? It was the first time they saw this enemy using the black line, and they had no idea where the other party came from and what information he had. How could they be familiar with him? Oh, I remember now. Hikaru suddenly cried out in surprise. When Captain Mangayu fought Captain Tenzo before, he was also entangled by the vines produced by Captain Tenzo's wood-release ninjutsu. After these words came out, Quing and Deodeo were both stunned for a moment. They soon understood what Hikaru meant. When Captain Mangayu fought Captain Tenzo, he was bound by his vines. He was entangled in the vines, and then not only was the chakra in his body not absorbed by Captain Tenzo's wood-release ninjutsu, but he did not know how to absorb the chakra from Captain Tenzo's body. At that time, Captain Mangayu was bound by Captain Tenzo on purpose. They had all seen Captain Mangayu's speed. Under the full burst, those black lines could not completely bind him, because their speed could not keep up with the speed of Captain Mangayu's flashing. That is to say, Captain Mangayu was bound by him on purpose now? This time, why? The reason was only known to Tianyu, who was wrapped into a big dumpling shaped by those black lines. At this time, the system's voice had already sounded in his mind, Ling. Congratulations to the host for completing the task, devouring the earth resentment used tentacles. Task reward, puppet silk thread forging blueprint, Ling. Task released, obtain the complete body of the earth resentment you. Task reward, puppet doll forging blueprint, huh? After completing the task released before, the system actually issued him a new task. This time the task reward is the forging blueprint of the puppet doll. Although I don't know what this thing is specifically used for, but the forging blueprint obtained by the system reward must be a fine product. It seems that the most urgent thing is to kill this guy Kikuzu first, and get the earth resentment U in his body, so as to complete the task released by the system. Humph, kid, after being restricted by the weapon, you are completely powerless to resist. Kikuzu's mask showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth, and looked at Tianyu, who was wrapped by the earth resentment U in front of him, with a smug look in his eyes. However, the next second, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. In Kikuzu's suddenly contracted pupils, a figure rushed out from the black thread of the earth resentment U that was wrapped into a ball. The broken black lines instantly scattered all over the ground. Almost in an instant, the figure rushed to Kikuzu. Konoha Great Whirlwind. Secret technique, Earth Grudge. Kikuzu quickly spread the black lines of Earth Grudge from other parts of his body to block the attack from Tianyu. However, just as Tianyu's right leg was about to hit the Earth Grudge, his body suddenly changed at an incredible angle in the air. He abruptly stopped his right leg from falling in the air, and instead turned his whole body 180 degrees, stretching his claws towards Kikuzu's wrist. What? Kikuzu's pupils shrank suddenly. He realized at this time that the opponent's attack just now was just a feint. When he reacted and wanted to dodge, he found that it was too late. The moment Tianyu grabbed Kikuzu's wrist, his body fell to the ground, and his center of gravity shifted. His body rotated in the air with Kikuzu's arm as the radius, just like when he usually swung a hammer, and this time he swung Kikuzu up from the ground. At the same time, he raised his right foot again and kicked Kikuzu's hard in the air. Konoha's Great Cyclone. Bang! Exclamation mark. A dull collision sound rang out. Kikuzu had only heard that Might Guy, codenamed the Blue Beast of Konoha, was very powerful in physical skills, but he didn't expect that the kid in front of him, codenamed the Black Death God, was so skilled in physical skills that he was caught off guard. His heart was directly pierced by his kick, and his heart was shattered. A huge pain came from his body. The surface of his skin, which had been hardened by the earth escape technique, now exploded like broken porcelain. He flew out from the ground and smashed hard on the rock cliff in the distance. For a moment, countless sand and dust were stirred up on the entire battlefield. Great! That man was killed by Captain Mengayu. Standing far away from the battlefield, Hikari, who saw this scene, immediately jumped up in surprise, with an unconcealed joy on her face. However, a calm female voice next to her suppressed her joy. Don't be happy so early, there is something strange about that man. Even though his heart was shattered by Mengayu just now, he didn't die. The person who spoke was naturally Shizune, who was extremely proficient in medical ninjutsu. She also saw the scene just now and made an accurate judgment on the situation on the battlefield in an instant. How? How is it possible? Hikari's eyes widened instantly, with an expression of disbelief on her face, and asked back, how can a person with a shattered heart still be alive? What Shizune said just now was completely beyond her cognition. Chapter 77 Kikuzu's Secret. Ahem. Ahem. You're injured? It seems I underestimated you, little brat of Konoha. On the battlefield in the distance, an incredible scene happened to Hikaru. Kikuzu, whose heart was shattered by Tianyu's kick and flew to the ground, coughed awkwardly, and then actually stood up again from the ground. However, the keratin fragments of his earth escape technique kept falling off, and under his half mask, his face also revealed some unconcealed surprise. Kikuzu, who has been active on the world stage since the early days of the establishment of the 5 major ninja villages in the ninja world, is actually older than the 3rd generation Tsuchikage, the oldest ninja in the ninja world, Anoki. In Kikuzu's long memory, he has never been beaten so badly by a ninja so young, and his heart was also kicked. He stretched out his hand and touched the depression in his chest. His dark green eyes were filled with anger like ghost fire. Damn brat! I'm going to kill you. Dig out your heart. Kikuzu roared angrily. Ah! You want my heart? Just you. The air was filled with a boy's cynical chuckle. Tianyu stood in front of Kikuzu with a sun blade in his hand, and said with a bit of sarcasm on his lips, you don't really think that you can live so long because of your own strength? Since you didn't dare to assassinate the first Hokage Senju Hashirama at the beginning, and chose to escape, then you should choose to continue to live now, because I am not someone you can provoke at will. Kikuzu was stunned for a few seconds, and his eyes were instantly stained with deeper anger, and a trace of fear hidden in the depths of his pupils that had never been discovered by anyone. You know something." There was a little more trembling in Kokuzu's voice. His clenched fists were wide at this time, showing the great psychological fluctuations in his heart at this time. Those dusty past events, those secrets that he had concealed for many years, which should have been known by no one except him until now, were revealed by a young man so easily, revealing the scars hidden in his deepest heart. That's right, in the assassination of the first Hokage of Konoha, Hashirama Senju, which he was proud of, he was the only one who survived among the assassins, not because he was the strongest, but because in that operation, he stood the farthest from the battlefield. After throwing a kunai at Hashirama Senju, he saw that his companions, after attacking Hashirama Senju, were all solved by the other party one by one. He was afraid. He was scared. So he chose to give up the assassination mission immediately and turned around and fled the battlefield. He was a waste who gave up the mission and abandoned his former companions because of cowardice and fear of death. This was something that would make him a shame in the ninja world if it got out. The murderous aura on Kokuzu suddenly became several times stronger, and he stared at Tianyu fiercely with fierce light in his eyes. Coward. Coward. Greedy. Stupid. Targeting me because of greed is the stupidest mistake you have ever made in your life. Tianyu walked in front of Kokuzu as if he was strolling in the garden, looking at Kokuzu, who looked very embarrassed, and his tone was calm as if he was stating a simple fact. At this moment, he was just standing on the ground, but he was imposing enough. Are you teaching me a lesson? After a face-to-face encounter, he was beaten so badly by the other party. Just when the secret deep in his heart was exposed, and he heard Tianyu's somewhat domineering tone, Kokuzu's face suddenly turned purple. He cursed loudly, "You should know that when I was in the ninja world, little devils like you were not born yet." The next second, his strength broke out completely, and he roared, "Tentacle punch." Although Tianyu kicked one of his hearts, it did not have much impact on Kokuzu's combat effectiveness because of Tianyu. At this time, he decided to teach this ignorant kid in front of him a lesson. Release all the power of Tianyu. The moment the voice fell, Kokuzu made an angry move and suddenly punched Tianyu through the air. A sharp black shadow flashed in the air, and Kokuzu's wrist was actually directly broken from the seam. A large number of black mysterious tentacles emerged from the middle, and a heavy punch suddenly stretched out. The power is no less than that of Tsunade's super powerful punch, and it is extremely destructive and can easily knock down a wall. Is this the legendary secret technique of Takigakure, Earth Grudge, the real power? Facing the heavy punch that was suddenly stretched out by Kokuzu in front of him using Earth Grudge, Tianyu's face was very calm, and his dark eyes were as peaceful as an autumn pond in the mountains. It looks really disgusting, making yourself neither human nor ghost. Fortunately, the system has issued a task that can directly recycle things like Earth Grudge, otherwise Tianyu would never implant it into his body even if he obtained it. Although Earth Grudge can indeed bring a good increase in strength, as the former treasure secret technique of Takigakure, using chakra to control the black blood vessel tentacles that grow in the body can become an ninjutsu suitable for long-range attacks, but it can also be used to overwhelm the opponent's tactics. Moreover, this black vascular tentacle can also seize the heart of others, and absorb the chakra into the body, and even use the different attributes of chakra in different hearts, making Kokuzu almost immortal. Moreover, the Earth Resentment U is extremely strange and very difficult to deal with. Even if it is separated from the main body, it can move its tentacles freely like a living thing, and the length and shape can be changed at will to deal with all situations. In the complete state, Kokuzu hid his remaining 4 hearts deep in the body of the Earth Resentment U, and it is impossible for Tianyu to attack it easily. It can be said that Kokuzu in this situation now has almost no blind spots. But this kind of strength is not enough to threaten me. Tianyu smiled slightly, and then he shouted in a low voice, 8 gates of ninjutsu, first gate, open. Second gate, rest gate, open. Third gate, life gate, open. Fourth gate, injury gate, open. After several low shouts, Tianyu opened the 8 gates of ninjutsu directly to the 4th gate of injury. The violent green chakra instantly burst out from Tianyu's body, releasing extremely amazing energy. Hoo. The violent green chakra on Tianyu's body continued to ravage the surrounding air, and clearly visible streams of air blew in all directions. Such momentum is extremely domineering, powerful, and terrifying. Tianyu's current lethality is already very amazing. A white light flashed in his hand, and a dark brown leather glove appeared on his right hand. 4-star ninja tool, violent boxing gloves, wind attribute. It has a 300% critical hit rate and randomly triggers small wind escape ninjutsu. After wearing this violent boxing glove, it is enough to strengthen Tianyu's current strength by more than 3 times, allowing his current combat power to advance to a very terrifying level again. Come on. The moment the voice fell, Tianyu turned into a phantom, and punched the attacking ground resentment tentacles head-on. With one punch, a violent wind suddenly rose. The violent airflow blasted out with Tianyu's fist, and in an instant it turned into dense and tiny wind blades. Under Tianyu's control, these tiny sharp wind blades directly condensed around his violent boxing gloves, wrapping his fist completely. In a flash, Tianyu's fist and the opposite tentacle punched together. Boom! After a deafening explosion, violent airflow swept and raged in all directions. Countless sand, gravel and dust were raised high, and the terrifying aftermath was like a small explosion. Tengo's fist, with one punch, not only smashed Kakuzu's tentacles, but also rushed directly in the direction of those black lines and punched Kakuzu's body. The terrifying power attached to Tengo's fist instantly hit Kakuzu's body. Bang! Exclamation mark. In the thick smoke, Kakuzu's body flew across the battlefield like a kite with a broken string. Chapter 78 Endless Means. Cough, cough, cough. In a burst of smoke, Kakuzu in the distance coughed up blood and spit out some broken internal organs. In the previous attack, he actually had his heart shattered by the opponent. Kakuzu's eyes darkened, and he was filled with murderous intent. The same physical skills as the blue beast of Konoha. The information I collected before was only about your ninja tools. I didn't expect you to have such powerful physical skills. Since you are such an extraordinary opponent, then it seems necessary to let you see my true strength. Feeling the extraordinary strength of the young man in front of him, as well as the oppression brought to him by the ninja tools he controlled and the powerful physical skills after opening the 8 gates, Kakuzu gritted his teeth and a large amount of chakra burst out of his body. As Kakuzu suddenly bent down, his back suddenly bulged, as if some terrible monster was about to emerge from his body, and it even broke the clothes on his back. At this time, the people watching the battle in the distance saw that Kakuzu's body was full of wounds sealed by black lines. He looked like a crudely made puppet, not a normal human being. He is a monster. Hibiscus in the distance covered her mouth with both hands and couldn't help but exclaimed. I witnessed him getting his heart kicked and shattered, but he was able to stand up from the ground as if nothing had happened. Is this something a normal human can do? How could a normal person have 2 hearts in his body? In the blink of an eye, 3 masked monsters suddenly jumped out from Kakuzu's back. One had a blue face pattern, one had a green face pattern, and one had a red face pattern. The 3 masked monsters were different from each other, but they were all made up of countless black vascular tentacles, swirling and twisting behind Kakuzu. Hikaru was right. At this moment, Kakuzu's body had completely departed from the human form, and he could no longer be considered a pure human. The joints of his limbs were all connected by black vascular tentacles, and his mouth was wide open, spitting out a bunch of twisting black tentacles. Just looking at it was enough to make people shudder. 3 masks, and 3 jutsu with chakra nature changes left. You are willing to expose all 3 of your hearts at once. Are you determined to fight me to the death? Seeing that Kakuzu in front of him actually burst out with the strongest power of the earthly wrath, in addition to the 2 hearts that had been broken by him, he actually activated his remaining 3 hearts at the same time and released his power to the fullest. Tianyu narrowed his eyes and became cautious in his heart. Wind style, suppress harm. At this time, with a low voice of Kakuzu's mouth, the monster with a blue mask on his back instantly condensed a powerful wind attribute chakra in his mouth. In a blink of an eye, a huge and expanding storm ball instantly blasted towards Tianyu's direction and submerged his body. This super B-level wind-style jutsu, after the nature of Kakuzu's wind attribute chakra changed, reached its extreme lethality. When performed by the masked monster, the wind in the air was compressed to high density and formed into a super heavy storm bomb like a dragon whirlwind. Once it hits the target, it will explode instantly, sweeping away all objects with extreme high wind pressure. The storm vortex formed will carry out indiscriminate attacks on a large scale, causing huge damage to the target and the surrounding area. You won't be killed so easily by me, huh, cunning kid? If that's the case, it's too boring. Countless black thread-like tentacles continued to spread all over his body. Looking at Tianyu, who was swallowed by the powerful wind escape released by his wind escape mask, Kakuzu's tone was a little more playful. Kill? How is it possible? With this kind of rubbish ninjutsu? However, as soon as Kakuzu finished speaking, a huge deep pit formed in the road surface that was destroyed in front of him, and Tianyu rushed out of it with a sunwheel sword in his hand. This level of battle is just a warm-up for me. You can't even break my barrier. This level of ninjutsu has no lethality to me. Barrier. The floating dust slowly dissipated. In Kakuzu's slightly contracted pupils, he saw the young man in front of him holding a white crystal, standing with his hands behind his back. In front of him, a huge arc-shaped transparent barrier was propped up. All along, the barrier stone that he used to shield others from sight and hearing actually had good defensive power. Its defensive power was enough to block the damage of all B-level and below ninjutsu. The entire ground of the rear guard had been completely destroyed by the powerful wind escape ninjutsu released by the wind escape mask monster just now, but only the land under Tianyu's feet was intact like him, and there was not even a trace of scratch on his mask. Tisk, annoying little brat. What a trouble. Seeing that Tianyu was unscathed under the attack of the wind escape ninjutsu released by his wind escape mask monster, and that he didn't know when he had such a ninja tool in his hand that could release a barrier cover that was enough to defend against ninjutsu below B level, Kakuzu gritted his teeth and almost bit off the ground resentment tentacle that came out of his mouth. For a moment, he felt a headache in his heart. This kid. How many strange ninja tools does he have in his hand? Exclamation mark. He has been controlling all kinds of strange ninja tools in battle. It makes people feel numb. I must dig out your heart, and then sell your body and the ninja tools in your hand for money. There was unstoppable madness in Kakuzu's eyes. His green pupils were full of red bloodshot. He was furious at the kid in front of him and wanted to kill him immediately to vent his anger. Wind style, suppress harm. In the mouth of Kakuzu's wind attribute monster mask, wind attribute chakra was condensed again, forming a huge wind attribute chakra ball, but Kakuzu's action did not end here. Lightning style, pseudo-darkness. A low voice sounded, and the monster with the lightning style mask on Kakuzu's back immediately released a powerful lightning style ninjutsu. A brilliant beam of lightning shot out from the left side towards Tianyu crazily, and the entire ground under his feet was cut open by this powerful force. Fire style, head hard. Not only that, but a series of low voices rang out one after another. At the same time as the lightning style ninjutsu was released, another fire style masked monster on Kakuzu's back spewed out a huge, scorching fireball. The terrible high temperature seemed to be able to turn everything in front of him into ashes. Under the blessing of the wind style ninjutsu, the attack range of the fire style ninjutsu instantly increased several times. In the blink of an eye, the entire battlefield turned into a sea of red flames that could devour everything, covering the entire road to Konoha. The huge momentum created by these three ninjutsu made even hidden Tsunade, who had already fought for thousands of moves and could not tell the winner for a while, couldn't help but observe the situation here with the corner of their eyes. Ha, that loser Kakuzu actually had two hearts broken by a kick. I never thought that there would be such a day for him, and he was forced into such a miserable situation. It really makes me laugh to death. Seeing his companions fall into disadvantage in the battle, Hidden not only did not have the slightest worry in his eyes, but laughed out loud, as if he had discovered something very interesting. Humph, don't laugh at others, you will be the next one to suffer the same fate. Tsunade's almond eyes widened with a hint of pride. She raised the tracking bow in her hand, and another green chakra arrow flew towards Hidden. What a difficult woman. Fei Duan quickly raised his sickle to block the flying arrow. When he fought with Tsunade before, he was attacked by her long-range attack, using the chakra arrows shot out as a cover, which made him suffer in the battle. He couldn't get the other party's blood, so he couldn't start the sacrifice of the evil god. He was annoyed for a while, and his face became more angry. He cursed loudly, if it weren't for this annoying broken bow, I would have sacrificed you, a stinky woman, to the evil god long ago. Tsunade didn't waste time talking to him, and controlled the huge slug under her feet, and rushed towards Fei Duan again. The two figures fought together again, and it was difficult to tell the winner for a while. Chapter 79 Absolute Defense. 3 powerful ninjutsu above B level, wind style ninjutsu wind pressure, fire style ninjutsu head hard work, lightning style ninjutsu ground walking. These 3 ninjutsu of different attributes, no matter which one is taken out, are enough to kill a ninja of Jonin's strength in an instant, and at this time, Kakuzu released these three powerful ninjutsu at the same time, and the chakras of the three attributes intertwined in the air, forming a more powerful composite ninjutsu. A huge sea of fire on the ground, instantly devouring this side of the world, turning it into a blazing sea of fire. Above the head, blue and white arcs flash continuously. From different corners, they chop down irregularly towards the place where Tianyu was, smashing one deep pit after another on the ground. A composite ninjutsu that is enough to reach S-level lethality. Kakuzu once defeated a shadow-level strongman head-on with this move. At this time, Kakuzu was also confident that he would let the little ghost die under his powerful ninjutsu. Compound ninjutsu, flame and thunderstorm. The humming sound of the air, the crackling sound of the burning flames, the crackling sound of lightning striking from the sky, all kinds of sounds intertwined in the air like a symphony, as if thousands of cavalrymen whizzed past them, rushing towards the people below one after another. The leaping flames rushed to the sky, breaking through the darkness, almost illuminating the world. In the huge torrent-like impact, there was no sound between heaven and earth for a moment. Such a scene was so horrifying that the 5 people standing in the distance, including Hikaru, Haru, Shima, Konoha spies, and Shizune, were completely dumbfounded. They finally understood why Captain Mangayu didn't let them participate in this battle before. Under such a powerful and terrifying ninjutsu, I'm afraid that with their strength, they would not be able to hold on for even one round and be killed. Such a scene, a word suddenly emerged in their minds. Hell. That's right, the so-called legendary 18 levels of hell. I'm afraid it's just like this, right? Knife mountains, fire seas, and thunder and lightning. They trembled in their hearts. Especially Queen and Hideo, when they learned that the 2 people in black with red auspicious cloud patterns were the masterminds of the previous gambling house. They couldn't help but sweat all over their heads. Their backs were cold, and they were sweating coldly. Fortunately, when they broke into the gambling house before, they didn't meet these 2 people behind the scenes. Fortunately, their Captain Mangayu came to rescue them quickly, so that they could walk out of the gambling house safely. At this time, they had already regretted it in their hearts, and couldn't help but curse themselves in their hearts for being so reckless at the time. Facts have proved that Captain Mangayu's previous approach was indeed the most correct. Breathing of water, 12 forms, endless life. A stream of blue water, like a blue satin-like ribbon, floated around Tianyu. Tianyu's own Nichiren sword reappeared in his hand, and the chakra in his body surged, releasing his swordsmanship again. Water breathing, 12 forms, everlasting. Water breathing, 12 forms, everlasting. 1 sword, 2 swords, 3 swords, 10 swords, 11 swords, 12 swords. Looking up at the powerful ninjutsu that was rushing towards him, like a sea of fire and a mountain of swords, as if it came from hell, Tianyu's mouth revealed a barely perceptible smile. Isn't it a high-level ninjutsu? Who doesn't know it? His Nichiren sword can also burst out with enough power to resist this move. Even in the Demon Slayer world, the moves belonging to water breathing have not been developed until the end of the plot. Tianyu has studied this swordsmanship to the extreme and created the 12th style that has never been shown to others. Everlasting. In the swordsmanship of water breathing, it is the only move that is not used for attack. Horizontal ellipsis. On the battlefield, Kakuzu could no longer see Tengo's figure, because he was completely buried by the sea of fire. Kakuzu panted heavily, releasing 3B-level ninjutsu in succession, which still consumed a lot of chakra in his body. However, no one who was hit by his healing ninjutsu has been able to walk out alive, not even the cage-level strongmen. But before, this kid used a hammer, a boxing glove, and a barrier cover. His methods were endless. Kakuzu shook his head. No, he couldn't be called a kid. He was worthy of being known as the Black Death God. He was indeed a man who could be regarded as an opponent by himself. He could break his 2 hearts, which was enough to prove his strength. It was just a pity that under such a lethal ninjutsu, his body was probably burnt to ashes. Whether it was exchanging his body for money or taking his heart, it seemed impossible now. Kakuzu sighed, a little regretful, but not regretful. This kid has too many tricks. If he is given another chance to attack, it may really pose a great threat to him. Therefore, Kakuzu did not dare to be careless. He directly used the strongest ninjutsu he could release now. At all costs, he must kill him here. Clang. There was no violent explosion, nor the rumble of thunder. There was only the light sound of a knife cutting tofu. If someone could see the sword technique that Tianyu was using at this time, they would definitely drop their jaws directly, because no one in the world has ever used sword techniques like this. One after another, azure blue water flows around Tianyu, like musical notes, and like ribbons fluttering in the air, wrapping around Tianyu layer by layer, and rotating in a regular direction, circle after circle. It seems very ordinary, but if you are a careful person, you will find that every time the blue sword energy rotates, the flames and lightning surrounding him will be weaker. That's right, the 12th style of water breathing created by Tianyu is the only move that is not used for attacking, and it has the powerful power to dissolve some attacks. This is the highest understanding that Tianyu can achieve in the swordsmanship of water breathing. The highest good is like water, which benefits all things without competing. But it can quietly moisten all things and turn everything into invisible. At this time, Kakuzu suddenly realized that something was wrong. The sea of fire formed by the composite ninjutsu he released was enough to burn on this battlefield for 3 days and 3 nights. But now, in just a few minutes, those flames are actually getting smaller little by little at a speed visible to the naked eye. What's going on? Kakuzu immediately felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. At this time, the first ray of sunlight in the morning pierced through the heavy clouds and shone on the earth. I don't know when, the dark night has quietly retreated, and gorgeous clouds rose on the hills in the east. The bright and somewhat dazzling sunlight fell on this rugged battlefield that had been ravaged. Everything was silent, not even the sound of birds and insects chirping. Only a young man's clear and pleasant voice sounded, "I'm not dead yet, sorry, I really disappoint you." The hellish scene just now suddenly disappeared. Whether it was the huge sea of fire or the thunder in the sky, at this moment, they all disappeared, as if all the scenes that appeared just now were just an illusion. The mask on the face of the boy wearing the clothes of the Anbu did not show any signs of being damaged, and the whole person stood in front of Kakuzu intact. How is it possible? Kakuzu's body shook, looking at this scene in disbelief. The boy showed a gentle smile that could be called warm, and said elegantly like a nobleman, "Nothing is impossible. All-powerful ninjutsu will eventually be cracked. Your strength is indeed very strong, but there will always be people stronger than you in this world." Kakuzu looked at him almost madly. A 12-year-old boy actually took the strongest killing move with S-level lethality that he just launched. When his eyes fell on the longsword in the boy's hand, his expression was stunned. Swordsmanship. That's right. Tianyu nodded. Who said that swordsmanship can only be used for attack and not for defense? Tianyu knew the importance of defensive ninjutsu a long time ago, so Tianyu had been constantly improving and breaking through in this area during his previous training with Might Guy, and developing his own defensive ninjutsu. In the world of Naruto, every defensive ninjutsu is famous. Gaara's sand wall, sand armor, sand shield, the Hyuga clan's Kaiten, the Uchiha clan's Susanoo, the first Hokage's 5-layer Rashomon. Many of them are so-called absolute defenses. And the endless life developed by Tianyu is his own absolute defense. Chapter 80 Kakuzu, Death. Your strongest move is only this, right? Tianyu asked calmly. But Kakuzu, who was standing opposite him, was sweating profusely, and his eyes became more and more serious. At this moment, when Kakuzu had just mobilized the little chakra left in his body and was about to release his lightning ninjutsu to attack again, time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Tianyu was no longer going to give him another chance to attack. Duman, open. Kinman, open. In Kakuzu's eyes that suddenly widened, he saw a black color that was so fast that it was almost invisible to the naked eye, rushing towards him. Under Kakuzu's horrified eyes, Tianyu's fists were striking in the air at a very fast speed. The chakra attached to the fists rubbed against the air, even to the speed of producing flames. There was no time to even catch his breath, and the black chakra scattered from the fists, like black feathers scattered from the sky, and rushed towards Kakuzu on the ground like a machine gun. Night Phoenix! Tianyu shouted. This move was a physical move that Tianyu used after learning from teacher Akai and opening the 6th gate Jingmen. However, after Tianyu opened the 6th gate, the color of the chakra changed a little. It was not red like teacher Akai, but turned into a black that looked more weird. At this moment, Tianyu was really like the arrival of the god of death, enough to bring endless fear to people. Damn it! At this time, Kakuzu felt a friction sound that suddenly became agitated in the air, and immediately made his hair stand on end. The countless earth resentment spreading out of his body helped Kakuzu to greatly enhance his perception. At this moment, he keenly realized that the ninjutsu used by the opponent this time was really extremely dangerous. When he wanted to get up and dodge again, he found that it was too late. All his retreat routes had been blocked by the opponent's fist wrapped in black chakra. He didn't expect the opponent's speed to be so elusive. With his 3 masks, he could almost defend himself in all directions, but he couldn't dodge. The next second, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest, stomach, shoulders, arms, thighs. Countless fists contained extremely powerful forces. Kakuzu suddenly felt that he was hammered and stunned. Under the opponent's heavy punches, he was beaten into a pile of mud. The last blow, Tianyu, who opened the 6 gates, appeared beside him in a flash, and a foot with chakra attached to it had already stepped hard on his face. Bang! Exclamation mark. Kakuzu's head, which was connected by countless black blood vessels, was instantly kicked out by Tianyu. The whole person flew out like a sword with a full bowstring, knocking down more than a dozen large trees along the way, and dragging a long track on the ground. Damn! Kakuzu, who was kicked in the cheek by Tianyu, struggled to get up from the ground. The heart of the original Earth Escape ninjutsu chakra had long been destroyed by the opponent. Without the protection of Earth Escape ninjutsu, Kakuzu was immediately severely injured by the continuous physical skills. However, he didn't even have time to stand firm, and the whole person stopped in midair, and all his movements seemed to be slowed down. No, or rather, it was not Kakuzu's movements that were slowed down, but Tianyu's speed was accelerated again. Like a black beam of light, it flashed in the air, as if it was going to cut the entire space in half, and instantly pierced through the lightning mask on Kakuzu's back. Swish! Exclamation mark. Before Kakuzu could react and find out that his heart had just been pierced by Tianyu punched him again, and immediately another punch opened a big hole in his body. Crack! Another heart was crushed by Tianyu's bare hands. Countless dark blood vessels were cut off by Tianyu. Even the determined Kakuzu couldn't help but let out a scream of pain. The emerald green eyes like ghost fire burst out with anger for survival, as fierce as a wounded beast. At this time, Kakuzu, who only had 1 heart left, had completely lost the courage to continue fighting. At this moment, there was only one thought left in his mind: escape. He had to run away quickly, because the opponent he was facing was not a human at all, but a devil. A monster that was even more terrifying than him. Want to run? Tianyu showed a smile at the corner of his mouth, like a hunter who was hunting and wreaking havoc on his prey that was already within his reach. It's over. You always boast that you have fought with the god of ninja realm, but now you are still running away like a lost dog. What's the point of living so long? You are just a meaningless symbol eliminated by the times. Tianyu's eyes were fixed on Kakuzu, who was running away quickly in the distance, trying to leave this battlefield. A Kusanagi sword appeared in his hand. Then he held the hilt of the sword and threw the Kusanagi sword in his hand forward like throwing a hidden weapon. Change. As the Kusanagi sword continued to shoot in the air, it was also constantly changing. 1 became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 8. There were thousands of long swords, reflecting the cold light in the air, covering the whole world under the sword. Cut. With Tianyu's low shout, it seemed that this space was about to be shattered by the long sword controlled by Tianyu. Boom! Exclamation mark. Countless earth, rocks, and trees were pierced and crushed by the long sword flying from the sky, turning into dust, and wood chips flying everywhere. Several piercing and crushing sounds rang out at the same time, and the sound was deafening. In the cold light of countless slashes, no matter how many tentacles of the earth resentment you were on Kakuzu's body to resist, it would be useless, and all would be cut off. The heart that was protected in the deepest part by the tentacles of the earth resentment you, and at the same time, the only hope for Kakuzu to survive, was finally pierced by a sword under the attack of countless swords and arrows. Kakuzu, die? Ling. The body of the earth resentment you was detected. Please ask if you want to absorb it. A system prompt sounded in Tianyu's mind. He nodded and said softly, absorb. Tianyu felt that an invisible force penetrated from his body and went to the small black ball on the ground, which was being peeled off from Kakuzu's body and was about to escape. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The black coal ball seemed to make a sharp scream, and then suddenly disappeared in the air. Tianyu knew that it had been absorbed. Ling. Congratulations to the host for completing the task, absorbing the Earth's resentment. System reward, puppet doll forging blueprint. In his mind, the sound of the system issuing rewards came. But Tianyu didn't have time to check the blueprint, because at this moment, he had more important things to do. This battle was not over yet. Tsunade. Tianyu looked at another battlefield standing in the distance. Tsunade was still fighting with Fiden, and the two were evenly matched. According to the actual strength, Tsunade's combat power is actually stronger, but Tsunade has hemophobia, so she tries to avoid close combat with him. In addition, in order not to see blood, she is still blindfolded at this time, relying only on her own perception to fight. Tsunade's best physical skills were restricted, and her vision was also restricted, so for a while, she could only fight Fiden to draw. Leave the rest to me. Tianyu leaped up and jumped over the slug's head, coming to Tsunade's side. Tianyu's appearance made the two people who were concentrating on the battle at this time stunned. Is the battle over there? Tsunade asked in surprise. You killed Kakuzu. Hiden's eyes could hardly hide his surprise. As Kakuzu's companion, he knew very well how difficult he was. Tianyu didn't say anything. Since he could appear here, it already explained everything. However, Tsunade shook her head inside. Let me do it. You just finished a battle, and your chakra is almost gone, right? The guy named Hiden who fought against me is also a very tough guy. Chakra? I have no shortage of it. A confident smile appeared on Tianyu's lips. He flipped his wrist in the air, and a deep blue mineral crystal stone appeared in his hand. He threw it into his mouth and bit it into pieces. In an instant, blue light circulated in the air. Under the surprised gazes of Tsunade, Hiden, and several sensing ninjas in the distance, the chakra that was originally running low in Tianyu's body quickly filled up like a rising tide. Chapter 81 Return to Konoha. An hour later, the sun blade in Tianyu's hand flashed, and cut off Fidoin's head from his body. Tianyu already knew the curse of Fidoin's sacrifice to the evil god, so he mainly prevented him from obtaining his blood and starting the evil god ritual. There was nothing to be afraid of. Dealing with him was much easier than dealing with Kakuzu just now. Damn it. Damn it. Damn little devil. After Fidoin's head fell to the ground, he still couldn't stop cursing, chattering like a shrew. What's wrong with this guy? Hickey and the others came from a distance, looking at the scene in front of them with great surprise, and their eyes could not hide their shock. The man just now had 5 hearts, and he had to be killed 5 times before he really died. This was already quite surprising to them. Unexpectedly, the man in front of him was even stranger. Even his head fell off, but he was not dead yet and was still talking. It's a kind of evil secret magic, with an immortal body. Tianyu explained simply. Really, it's so weird. Facing the body of Hiden, Hikaru approached Hiden's head with some curiosity, and then looked around carefully. Wait a minute, be careful. At this time, a huge pitcher plant suddenly rose up next to Hiden's head, and released from the ground. A half-black and half-white figure appeared in the pitcher plant. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several kunai were shot on different directions. Tsunade and others were caught off guard and quickly dodged to the side to avoid them. However, Hikaru, who was closest to Hiden, had no time to dodge. At this time, in a flash, it was Tianyu who reacted the fastest and jumped to Hikaru's side. With a few clangs, he knocked down all the flying kunai. However, in less than a second, he gave the other party a chance. Black Zetsu immediately took Hiden's head into his arms, and then dived towards the direction of Hiden's body at a very fast speed. Don't even think about it. The long knife in Tianyu's hand instantly went towards the path that Black Zetsu had to take to touch Fidoin's body. Snap! Black Zetsu and White Zetsu immediately stopped their steps and had to change their body shapes. But even so, most of the green leaves of the pitcher plant, along with most of White Zetsu's body, were cut off by Tianyu's knife. And just when Tianyu was about to pursue the victory and catch White Zetsu and Black Zetsu, 2 members of the Akatsuki organization, White Zetsu and Black Zetsu, saw that the sneak attack had failed, and immediately gave up the idea of stealing Fidoin's body without any nostalgia. Before Tianyu made another move, they directly dived into the ground and escaped. As soon as Fidoin dived below, the people behind Tianyu immediately wanted to chase him, but Tianyu stopped their actions and shouted loudly, "Don't chase. Captain, there is a saying that goes, don't chase a desperate enemy. This is the situation we are facing now. Tianyu explained. If the enemy can be killed, Tianyu will certainly not let the enemy go. Zetsu. Akatsuki. Akatsuki is not a simple organization, and Zetsu, especially Black Zetsu, has unpredictable means. It may not be possible to catch up, and it may even attract other members of Akatsuki. With a chakra crystal, Tianyu has no shortage of chakra. But facing pain with the samsara eye, Tianyu is also difficult to resist. Clean up the battlefield, take the enemy's body, and we will return to Konoha. Tianyu gave the order, with great majesty. Yes, Captain Mingayu. Hikaru responded in a voice. Quing and Deodeo on the side did not dare to disobey Tianyu's order this time, and followed Hikaru obediently to clean up Kokuzu's body. Boy, you can do it. Tsunade on the side looked at Tianyu with a gleam in her eyes and said, this kind of combat power is probably stronger than me. After the battle, Tianyu adjusted his state in an instant, just like usual. Tsunade-sama, you are joking. Without Tsunade-sama's help in this battle, our Embu team would have died here. Tianyu's words were not just polite words. With his current strength, it would be very difficult for him to fight two members of the Akatsuki organization alone. Ha ha ha, you are quite good at talking, kid. Tsunade laughed loudly, and then handed the bow on her body to Tianyu. Here, I'll give it back to you. Tianyu smiled. He did not reach out to take the tracking bow. This bow is for Tsunade-sama, as a thank you for your help. Tsunade shook her head and rejected Tianyu's proposal. How can this be? One thing is another. I'm helping you, this is the reward for helping me win money in the casino. This bow is not in our agreement. As he spoke, Tsunade took 2 steps forward and handed the bow back to Tianyu. This tracking bow is naturally a great bow, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is a divine weapon. Good things are naturally what everyone wants, and Tsunade is no exception. But she finally resisted the urge and returned the tracking bow to Tianyu. Winning a little money in the casino is not equal to this hard battle. This bow is an additional reward. I give it to you. Tsunade-sama, don't refuse. It will seem hypocritical to refuse again. Tianyu smiled. Well, since you said so, I will accept it. Tsunade also responded generously. Tsunade asked again, you are going back to Konoha, right? Tianyu nodded. Okay, I will go with you. It would be bad for Tsunade to part ways with Tianyu after getting the treasure of tracking bow given by Tianyu. So Tsunade decided to escort Tianyu all the way back to Konoha, and if there was a battle on the way, she could help him to repay the gift of the bow. I haven't been back to Konoha for many years. It's a good opportunity to see how Konoha is doing now. Tianyu did not refuse Tsunade's request. Not long after, the Anbu team cleaned up Kokuzu's body, and Tianyu and his party rushed to Konoha again. 2 days later, Konoha, Hokage's office. Tianyu, you really worked hard this time. Sarutobi Hiruzen praised Tianyu in front of him with great sighs. This is what I should do, Hokage-sama. After hearing Tianyu's report, he carefully read the written report several times. After a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and said, I will upgrade this mission to an A-level mission. Tianyu, when you go to collect the mission reward later, don't make a mistake and get it as a B-level mission. Old man, you are too stingy, aren't you? You mentioned the A-level mission. Let me ask you, can a normal S-level mission be as dangerous as this mission? Dissatisfied voices echoed throughout the Hokage's office. It was disrespectful to the Hokage. Under normal circumstances, a bunch of other Anbu ninjas lurking in the dark would have subdued the person who spoke out. But now, there are no Anbu ninjas in the Hokage's office. After all, the person who said this is the granddaughter of the first Hokage, the princess of Konoha, Tsunade. They dare not act rashly to Tsunade. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82. I think he is pretty good. Okay, then I'll raise her to S rank. Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned at first, then he laughed. This was just a small matter for Sarutobi Hiruzen, and it could also save the face of both Tianyu and Tsunade at the same time. Why not do this? Thank you, Hokage. Tianyu responded slowly. Okay, Tianyu, if you have nothing to do, you can go down first. Tsunade and I haven't seen each other for many years. We should have a good chat? Yes, Hokage. Tianyu didn't want to stay in the Hokage's office for a long time, so he left the Hokage's office. As for what Sarutobi Hiruzen was thinking, it had nothing to do with him anyway, and he didn't care at all. I haven't seen Tiantian for a long time. I don't know how far this little girl has practiced. Let's go back and see. Thinking of Tiantian, Tianyu had a knowing smile on his face. I have been away from home for so long. I don't know how worried this girl will be after I go back. I guess she will become a follower and stick to me for a few days before she gives up. Captain Mangayu. As soon as I came out, I met Hikaru, Haru, and Shima from the Anbu team. The compatriot we rescued in the land of hot springs has met the Hokage, and the Hokage has assigned him to other positions. Upon hearing this, Haru and Shima lowered their heads so that they couldn't look each other in the eye. They were ashamed of Tianyu and had no face to see Tianyu. Go and collect the mission bonus, and then go home and have a good rest for a while. Yet Hikaru responded first. If it weren't for Captain Mangayu on this mission, she might have died this time. This mission is too dangerous, and after seeing the enemy with 5 hearts and the enemy who won't die even if his head is chopped off, Hikaru's worldview is about to collapse. She really needs to have a good rest for a while and adjust her mentality. Captain Mangayu, can I come to see you occasionally during my vacation? Tianyu raised his eyebrows. He really didn't expect that Hayashi would say this. Of course. Tianyu replied with a smile. Captain of the team King Daoshima stammered and came to Tianyu. They still didn't dare to raise their heads completely. What's wrong? Is there something? As soon as the question came out, Tianyu suddenly understood. He knew why King Daoshima was looking for him. During the time in the land of hot springs, King Daoshima, as members of the Anbu, did not obey the orders of the Anbu captain and acted privately, almost preventing the entire team from returning to Konoha. No captain would have a good face for such a subordinate. Moreover, Tianyu had just reported the situation of this mission to the Hokage. King Daoshima's heart was hanging. Don't worry, I didn't say bad things about you to the Hokage. I objectively reported the process of this mission to the Hokage, and also told the Hokage that you were also thinking about the compatriots of Konoha. Did the Hokage say anything? Haru hesitated. Tianyu shook his head. The Hokage didn't mention you. Well, after this mission, everyone is tired, go back and rest. After saying that, Tianyu turned and left, and behind him came the excited voices of Haru and Shimadeo who survived the disaster. We are still staying in the Anbu. Thank you, Tianyu. Tianyu didn't say anything, and went straight to the reward collection point to receive the resources rewarded for this mission, and walked towards his home. Haru and Shimadeo are still too naive. Although Tianyu didn't make things difficult for them, and although the spies lurking in the land of hot springs also spoke for them. But, as an old conspirator, Sarutobi Hiruzen, do you think he really likes this kind of ninja who ignores the overall situation, violates the orders of his superiors, and acts privately? Sarutobi Hiruzen will definitely deal with Haru and Shimadeo, but not now. And this treatment cannot be made clear. Anbu Haru and Deodeo will definitely not be able to stay here. Not only in the Anbu, but also in other good positions in Konoha that are closer to the center, Sarutobi Hiruzen will not assign them. They don't use their brains to analyze the enemy in our situation, don't listen to the orders of their superiors, and secretly collude with others to violate the orders of their superiors, making the situation more serious. How can Sarutobi Hiruzen reuse such people? Shaking his head, Tianyu threw all these complicated thoughts out of his mind. Well, do you want to bring a gift to Tiantian? Tianyu hummed a little tune, walked briskly, and walked happily towards his home. In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Tsunade, who was a little impatient, with a smile on his face. Tsunade, you're back. Don't leave without saying a word again. Old man, I told you before, I just came back to take a look. Tsunade immediately confronted Sarutobi Hiruzen. I will definitely leave, don't even think about making me stay, you can't. Tsunade, the third Hokage, am already old. Who knows when I might die? Sarutobi Hiruzen was not discouraged, and said slowly. There is no ninja in Konoha now who can take the position of the 5th Hokage. It's just right that you're back, Tsunade, you can't run away again. Tsunade immediately shook her head. No, I won't. Whoever wants to be the Hokage can do it, anyway, I won't. Tsunade, Konoha was built by your grandfather and second grandfather. Can you bear to watch Konoha go to decline? Old man, I said I'm leaving, don't have these crooked ideas. Tsunade said toughly, if you say these things again, believe it or not, I'm leaving now. Seeing Tsunade's look of preferring to die in glory rather than live in disgrace, Sarutobi Hiruzen's cheeks twitched. Hokage is the highest position in Konoha, and the top #1 figure in the entire ninja world. Can Tsunade not be so disgusted? Okay, I won't say it anymore. I won't say this. After saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately changed his face, a very serious face. Tsunade, Amaji will be accompanying you on this mission. Please tell me the details again. Tsunade raised her eyebrows. What's there to say? Did Amaji report to you? By the way, old man, didn't you just say that there was no one candidate for the 5th Hokage? What do you think of Amaji? I think he's pretty good. He's a good person and strong. The only flaw is that he's too young. But it's okay, old man, you're in good health and can still work for many more years. When you die, Amaji will be in his prime. Tsunade's eyes were shining, and the more she said, the more she felt that Amaji was the best successor to the 5th Hokage. Chapter 83 Akatsuki Organization. ? Looking at Tsunade, who was getting more and more excited, Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. The enemy. You really didn't kill him? Of course not. Tsunade stopped talking and stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen in disbelief. Old man, don't you believe that Tianyu is that strong? He is a ninja from the Anbu. You won't tell me that you don't know his strength yet? You actually ask me such a question. The strength he has shown before has never reached such a height. Shaking his head, Sarutobi Hiruzen let out a long breath. The opponent this time is Kikuzu. He's from the same era as the first Hokage. Although he is not as good as the first Hokage, he is also. Kikuzu, when Sarutobi Hiruzen was still a kid, he was already a little famous. After living for so many years, 5 hearts, plus the secret treasure of Takigakure, to be honest, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not dare to say that he, the Hokage, could win against Kikuzu. But Tianyu brought back Kikuzu's head on this mission? ! This really exceeded his previous estimate of the boy's strength. Even though the boy had reported the details of the incident to him just now, he still felt unbelievable. Tsunade, are you sure you didn't help Amaji deal with Kikuzu? How could I have time? You know my current situation and why I left Konoha. When Amaji was fighting Kikuzu, I was facing Kikuzu's companion, a monster that would not die even if its head was chopped off. I couldn't even protect myself. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Amaji, this Amaji. Before Sarutobi Hiruzen could think more, Tsunade on the side was unhappy. Tsunade, known as the Princess of Konoha, has left Konoha for many years, but this is still the Konoha she is familiar with, so her princess-like temper comes out as soon as she says it. Hey, old man. Temeki has done a great job this time, you can't do anything to him. Such a talented person, even if you don't regard him as the successor to Hokage, at least give him a promotion. Anbu captain. Tsunade smacked her lips with some disgust. This position is useless. When encountering troubles, don't you still have to rush forward like cannon fodder? Tsunade had received the tracking bow from Temeki before, and she liked this ninja tool very much. Tsunade owed this kid a favor, and Tsunade liked this kid's previous behavior and way of doing things. At first glance, he was a very smart kid with quite good strength. So Tsunade brought up this matter at this time. What are you thinking? How could I plot against someone from Konoha? As a Hokage, you have to be suspicious of everyone. But you think highly of Amaji, never mind, I won't test his loyalty. Then, Sarutobi Hiruzen grinned, let's not talk about the successor to Hokage for now, but as for the promotion yet. Amaji really did a great job this time, he really deserves a promotion. There was something else Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't say, because the information was incomplete. According to Amaji and Tsunade, the two people on their enemy's side were wearing uniforms, black windbreakers with red clouds, and they looked like people from the same force. An unknown force. 5 hearts, not dead even if beheaded. A very strange force. And this force can absorb people like Kikuzu. This force should not be underestimated. It seems that more people should be sent to gather intelligence. In the Land of Rain, the base of the Akatsuki organization, Yohiko controlled by Uzumaki Nagato stared at a pair of breathtaking reincarnation eyes and the head of Haiden brought back by Zetsu. His voice was a little low. The Black Death God. Konoha really can't be underestimated. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, pieces of white paper gathered around your Hiko and condensed into a rare beauty. Konan, Pine, how do you want to act? Need I say that? Our companions have been killed before the Akatsuki organization has officially started to act. If we don't deal with the people who killed our companions, how can we, who have not yet taken action, let the members of the Akatsuki organization feel at ease? Konan, go collect information about this Black Death God, and tell me as soon as you have news. I know. Konan replied coldly, and then turned into confetti and flew away. Konoha. Black Death God in the dark, a masked man whispered this sentence, then tilted his head, as if thinking about something. You at the Akatsuki organization's settlement, Yohiko looked at Hiden, who only had his head left, and didn't know what to say for a while. Sighing, can you recover by yourself? Kakuzu died, but no one helped Hiden to mend his body. This no. Hiden, who only had a head, was also extremely depressed. The Akatsuki base was silent. Silence was the bridge tonight. Even with the Samsara Eye, Yohiko could not have the ability to restore Hiden's body like Kakuzu. The Samsara Eye is not omnipotent. The Samsara Eye does have a very heaven-defying trick. The Samsara rebirth technique. This is a powerful forbidden technique that can revive even the dead who have been turned into dust, but the price is that the life of the user will be drained clean. For a Hiden, Pine, no, Uzumaki Nagato will definitely not use such a trick. And even if it is used, it will be very embarrassing. The Samsara rebirth technique is a technique to revive the dead. Although Hiden has only one head, he is still alive. The Samsara rebirth technique is not effective for this special guy, Hiden. Let me try. At this time, Obito, wearing a mask and pretending to use a low voice, came out. I have a way to restore him. Seeing the person coming, Hiden, who was only left with his head, was surprised. Afei. Yohiko was silent for a while, then introduced to Hiden. Afei is just his alias. His real identity is Madara, Uchiha Madara. Hiden, only I know Madara's identity, and now there's you. After a pause, Yohiko continued, don't let me hear rumors about Uchiha Madara outside. Hiden, who only had a head, could still make a normal expression. Just like Hiden, his mouth opened wide at the news, and his whole body, no, his whole HUD was confused. Madara, Madara. Uchiha Madara? Exclamation mark. Hiden was led into a trap by Yohiko, or more precisely, by Uzumaki Nagato. He really mistook the masked Uchiha Obito in front of him for Uchiha Madara. Don't worry, I won't say anything nonsense. Recalling Yohiko's previous threatening words, Hiden responded immediately. It's true that he is immortal, but he is also afraid of Pine. Paine's eyes are the eyes of the Six Paths Sage. There is an ancient rumor that the Six Paths Sage has a sealing technique that can create a moon by raising his hand. He is afraid that Paine will also use him to create a small moon. Uchiha Obito pretended to be Madara, came to the head of Hiden, circled around Hiden's head for a few circles, and then picked up Hiden's head. I will take Hiden away. Go. Paine pretended to be Yohiko, and Nagato Uzumaki, who borrowed Yohiko's body, responded to Uchiha Obito who was wearing a mask and pretending to be Uchiha Madara. Oh, right. Uchiha Obito stopped. I just heard you say something very interesting. Black Death God. Konoha the Akatsuki organization cannot be exposed at this stage, let me handle this. Paine frowned. Uchiha Madara, even if it is Uchiha Madara, he can't let people die quietly again, right? Well. Uzumaki Nagato still thinks Uchiha Obito is Uchiha Madara. Seeing Pine pause, he made a dull sound. Uchiha Obito saw through Pine's mind. Uzumaki Nagato, who was obsessed with the death of his companions, naturally couldn't bear to see his companions leave the world without any achievements in the Akatsuki organization he founded. Obito said, I don't need to do anything. Have you forgotten that there was a partner in Konoha who cooperated with us a few years ago? Let him help. Chapter 84, The Awakening of Workers. On the streets of Konoha, Shianai walked out of the Hokage's office, went to the Anbu again, and handed over all the contents of this mission. Of course, the report he submitted surprised Kakashi, who was the head of the Anbu at that time. Can Shianai's strength actually reach this level to fight against a strong man like Kakuzu? Isn't this growth rate too fast? Or is it that he has never exploded his full strength before? These two possibilities, no matter which one is in reality, are enough to make people feel terrified. Minister, If there is nothing else, I will not accept any missions for the next period of time and will go on vacation. Tianyu said to Kakashi. Yes. Kakashi nodded. Tianyu turned around and prepared to leave the Anbu. However, just as he was about to leave, he seemed to suddenly think of something. Then he turned around and looked at Kakashi with a very serious expression, and Kakashi suddenly became a little more nervous. He immediately asked, "Why? Is there anything that was not mentioned in the mission report you submitted before? Or do you know other information about the organization wearing red clouds with black background? No matter what kind of information it is very important for Konoha now. That mysterious organization hidden in the dark, unknown to the public, actually has Kokuzu and Hidden, two monsters who are almost close to the strength of the cage. The existence of this organization is a considerable threat to Konoha, so Kakashi, as the head of the Anbu, dare not be careless." "No." Tianyu shook his head, and then asked seriously, "I want to know, during my vacation later, the basic salary of the Anbu is still there, right?" Kakashi was obviously stunned for a moment, and after a few seconds, he realized what the other party was asking. He breathed a long sigh of relief, and said helplessly, "Yes, you don't have to worry about this. The normal benefits of the Anbu, such as borrowing scrolls and receiving ninja tools, are also there, right?" He asked again. Yes. Kakashi was very upset. "Isn't your family very rich?" Exclamation mark. "You even care so much about this basic salary and the benefits of the Anbu members." With that serious expression just now, Kakashi thought he was going to tell him some important information, which really scared him. After listening to Kakashi's words, Tianyu showed a very satisfied smile on his face. "Okay, then I can go on vacation without worry. Goodbye, Minister." After saying that, Tianyu turned around and walked away. It's so funny. No matter how rich his family is, he still has to care about his salary. This is Tianyu's own clear awareness as a worker. And Kakashi behind him, the expression on his face became very complicated for a while. Taking off the Anbu clothes, Tianyu changed into the white round-necked robe he often wore, and walked towards the direction of his home leisurely. The next period of time is a very relaxing vacation. This is also a rare leisure time for Tianyu. After Tianyu submitted the task, he received a considerable commission. It was originally a B-level task, and the commission was only about 3 million. However, there were many problems in this task. Not only did they encounter an ambush by a Jonin-level team, but they also encountered strong enemies like Kokuzu and Hidden. With the help of Tsunade, the task level was upgraded from the original B-level to an S-level task. The reward received by Tianyu's team was as much as 50 million. According to the company distribution of the Anbu team, each team member can get 10% of the commission, and Tianyu, as the team leader, can get the remaining 70% of the commission. That is a full 35 million taels. It is enough to pay the head price of Asuma Saratobi, the son of the third-generation Hokage and the elite Jonin in Konoha village. Such a reward is also quite high in the task reward of the entire village. It has to be said that ninja is indeed a very wealthy profession. Of course, when he distributed the commission, except for Hikaru, Haru and Shima, their faces flushed with anger as they wanted to refuse the commission for this mission, because they really didn't help much during this mission, and they also caused a lot of trouble for the captain. If it weren't for Tianyu, they would probably die outside this time. However, Tianyu still let them accept it. They all risked their lives to become ninjas to make money, so everything should be done according to the rules of the Anbu to save trouble. So, Haru and Shima had no choice but to accept it. At this time, Tianyu, who had a huge sum of money transferred into his card, had so much money in his pocket for the first time. Although he was not short of money before, he only had a few 100,000 taels of living expenses on him, which was still a little far from the word rich. Moreover, this money was the first commission Tianyu received for his first mission, which was still very memorable. So Tianyu decided to use the money to buy some gifts for his family. Walking on the streets of Konoha, Tianyu began to make very rich purchases. First, it was a gift from his father. His father loved drinking. Tianyu walked to the herbal medicine store opened by the Nara family. "Customer, what do you want to see? Our family mainly sells deer blood wine, which is a very tonic thing with a very good effect. Our deer blood wine is very famous in the whole fire country. Ninjas can nourish their bodies and repair hidden injuries when they drink it, and ordinary people can strengthen their bodies and prolong their lives when they drink it. Just 1 cup of wine a day, and you can live to 99. The clerk introduced it to Tianyu very enthusiastically. Tianyu nodded. The dear blood wine of the Nara clan is indeed very famous. He had heard of it before. Then give me a dozen. How much? The clerk was stunned. A dozen. A dozen means 12 bottles of dear blood wine. A bottle weighs about 1 jin, and 12 bottles weigh 12 jin. This made the clerk, who usually sells by 1 cup or 2, stunned for a while. Yes, swipe the card. Tianyu nodded. Okay. A purchase of millions of dollars made the clerk excited immediately. This is a big customer. His mouth was grinning from ear to ear, and his face was full of smiles. Then he started to get busy. Not only did he apply for the highest membership level for Tianyu, but he also gave him a very good discount and door-to-door delivery. After Tianyu left his address, they started to arrange for delivery without stopping. After buying gifts for his father, Tianyu started to buy gifts for his mother. His mother liked jewelry the most. After Tianyu bought a very expensive ruby and diamond necklace in the jewelry store, he also became a senior member of the jewelry store. Finally, it was the gift for his sister Tiantian. Tiantian's favorite thing was to study weapons and wear cheongsams. As for weapons, he could give her some novel things. However, this could not be the whole gift. Tianyu went to the tailor shop and made a few very beautiful cheongsams for her. Of course, he also knew that his sister was also a foodie. He bought a lot of cakes and snacks on the streets of Konoha, including tempura, sushi, taiyaki, octopus balls, sashimi, snow crab. After leaving his address, he asked them to deliver them to his home. After finishing these things, Tianyu held a lot of gifts in his hands. There were several people following him, carrying the things Tianyu bought in their hands and sending them to his house. There were as many as 7 or 8 people in the group. Walking on the road, they attracted the attention of the villagers. Such a large purchase was definitely the style of a rich boy or a young master. Just like that, when Tianyu took them to the door of his house, he suddenly stood there in a daze, looking at a loss. This was an expression that Tianyu rarely made, but at this time he was really confused. Looking around, it was indeed familiar streets to him, and he did not go to the wrong place, but why was this place not his previous home? Chapter 85 Gift. At this moment, Tianyu was looking at the completely different gate in front of him with a confused face. A very strange thought came to his mind. Could it be that his family secretly moved but didn't tell him? It can't be that bad, right? He is obviously the biological son of the family. Just when Tianyu was standing at the gate, at a loss for a moment, with a creak, the door in front of him opened, and a familiar face poked his head out, with obvious excitement on his face, and shouted loudly, "Brother, are you back?" "Sister." Seeing this familiar face, Tianyu finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then, pulled by Tiantian, he walked into this completely unfamiliar yard. Is this still our old home? I even suspected that I had gone to the wrong place. Tiantian covered her mouth, her laughter as sweet as a silver bell. Of course this is our home, brother. Who told you to go out for so long on this mission? You couldn't even find your way home when you came back. If I hadn't heard the noise outside in the yard, I don't know how long you would have been standing outside. Tianyu scratched his head at a loss. How come it is completely different from before? Tiantian had a sly smile on her face, and explained with a mischievous expression, "It's because father rebuilt our house and yard." She stretched out her hand and pointed to the distance, a very artistic courtyard with a small bridge and flowing water. There was even a pond covered with water lilies, which looked very poetic. Father bought several plots of land next to our house this time, and directly expanded the original floor area of our house several times, reaching an area of thousands of square meters. What you see now is only part of the front yard, and there is still a large area behind our house. Tianyu nodded, and then followed Tiantian to walk around the house. Now his house is indeed much larger than before. Not only has the original house been rebuilt, but the courtyard and garden have also been redesigned. Of course, the family has not forgotten to upgrade the small forging room in his backyard. In a room of about 20 square meters, in addition to the forging table, there are many ores and materials that Tianyu often uses neatly listed on the shelves. Although Tianyu is almost no longer suitable for such a forging table, almost all of his ninja tools are forged in his own system space. However, He was still very touched by the thoughtful care and careful preparation of his family. By the way, sister, I also brought you a gift when I came back this time. Tianyu smiled and stretched out his hand, hugged Tiantian's neck, and laughed. Go and have a look, is there anything you like? Wow. Tiantian's eyes lit up immediately. Gifts and the like. Which little girl would not like it? There are so many delicious foods. And they are all my favorites. Wow, I can eat until I am full today. Tiantian immediately picked up a small cake and took a big bite. A happy expression suddenly spread on her face. Although Tiantian could buy these foods by herself, this time it was different. This was bought by her brother. Tiantian actually felt that it tasted much better than the ones she usually bought. Could it be, this is brother control? No matter what, anyway, her brother is the best brother in the world. By the way, Tiantian, in addition to these foods, I have something else to give you. Tianyu's hand flashed, and then he took out something from the ring, a ball of white silk thread. Puppet silk thread. This is a 4-star weapon forged by Tianyu on his way back, according to the system reward map. Although this thing looks a little inconspicuous, just like a ball of white fishing line, it is almost difficult to detect with the naked eye if it is not condensed into a ball. It is made of a special kind of silkworm silk, which can be attached to chakra and can be freely transformed into any shape under the control of chakra, and can be used to control weapons. In addition, the biggest advantage of this puppet silk thread is that it is invulnerable to swords and guns, and is not invaded by water and fire. Even with Tianyu's swordsmanship and the sharp Kusanagi sword, it is difficult to cut this puppet silk thread. After trying, Tianyu, who discovered this, had a look of surprise in his eyes. No wonder it became a weapon with a 4-star forging difficulty. It is indeed extremely superior in performance. However, since the silkworm silk used to forge this weapon is extremely rare, he only bought a small ball of silkworm silk by chance in a small village when he was training outside with Might Guy. Even with Tianyu's forging technology that was enough to achieve a 100% success rate, he could only forge 2 puppet threads. Now, he gave one of the puppet threads to his sister Tiantian. His own strength was already quite good. In the entire ninja world, he could be considered to have a certain self-protection ability. Even if he faced an opponent of the 5-cage level, he would still have the strength to fight. Even if he was defeated in the end, he would definitely have enough means to save his life and escape. Therefore, this kind of puppet thread was a weapon that added icing on the cake for Tianyu. But for his sister Tiantian, it was like a timely help. After testing the use of the puppet thread, Tiantian's face immediately showed a surprised expression. There was a light fluctuation in her eyes. She looked very excited, with an unconcealed surprise on her face. Brother, is this something you made? Tiantian was so happy that he was a little incoherent for a while. Are you really going to give this ninja tool to me? I really like it. This thing is really important to me. Huh? Tianyu looked at Tiantian with some curiosity. It's just a puppet thread, why is it so important to her? Tiantian and Tianyu always have a tacit understanding. She explained directly, brother, I recently followed teacher Akai to go out of the village to perform tasks, and then I met some wandering ninjas, and one of them was very strong, enough to reach the level of elite chunin. During the fight with him, I found some problems. There were some bottlenecks in ninjutsu. Are you not injured? Tianyu asked with some concern. Compared with Tiantian's strength, Tianyu was more worried about the safety of his sister's life. No, Mr. Kai protected us very well. Tiantian shook his head and explained, he thinks that me, Rock Lee, and Niji are now ready to challenge this powerful ninja, so he let us try. If he finds us in danger, Mr. Kai will take action in time. Tianyu nodded. This is Mr. Kai's usual teaching style. When he went out to travel with Mr. Kai before, he also received training in this way. Whenever he thought Tianyu could face an opponent alone, he would not intervene too much and let Tianyu face it alone with confidence. It was because of his teaching method that his strength improved so rapidly in those few years. Tenten's expression suddenly became a little lonely, and then he continued, but in that battle, whether it was Ningxi who used the soft fist and the power of the Byakugan, or Rock Lee who only focused on physical training, their performance in actual combat was much better than mine. On the contrary, the influence of my manipulation of the ninja tools on that person was the smallest, and I was the slowest one to kill the opponent. The opponent is a ninja who is very good at wind-style ninjutsu, and he is very restrained towards me. It was only with the blessing of the ninja tools you gave me, brother, that I was able to barely kill that enemy. If I only used the ninja tool fighting method I researched myself, such as the double rising dragon and the tool binding meteor, I would not be able to hit the enemy under the interference of wind-style ninjutsu. Perhaps Teacher Kai discovered this weakness of mine, so he chose this person with wind attribute as my opponent. Although after the battle, Teacher Kai also praised my performance in the previous battle, I couldn't be happy. Brother, I want to become stronger, as strong as you. I think when others mention me, it's not just that she's Tianyu's younger sister, but she can also be said to be a powerful female ninja. Just like Lady Tsunade. Chapter 86. When did you become a bad person? Tiantian's words made Tianyu, as his brother, stunned for a moment, because Tiantian has always performed quite well in terms of strength. When she was in the ninja school, although her grades were not as good as Hyuga Niji, she could always beat Xiaoli in actual combat. Over time, she became the big sister in Xiaoli's heart. Such an achievement made Tiantian very proud. However, recently, Tianyu was busy carrying out tasks in the Anbu and did not pay much attention to Tiantian. Some changes occurred in his sister. Her performance and physical skills became worse than Xiaoli. What happened? Suddenly, he thought of something, and then the expression on his face suddenly became a little weird. He said awkwardly, "During that battle, were you on your period?" Tiantian was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect that her brother could even guess this. Then her face quickly flushed, and she lowered her head shyly, and said in a voice as thin as a mosquito, "It's true." Tianyu sighed secretly in his heart. It has been several months since Tianyu and his friends graduated. The new year is coming soon, ushering in the 60th anniversary of the graduation of the ninjas in the original book. Tianyu and Tiantian will soon be 13 years old. 13 years old is the most beautiful age for a girl. Of course, it is also the age when their bodies develop the fastest and their sexual characteristics change the most. Although Tiantian has always had her mother to guide her in this regard, her mother is not a ninja after all. When she encounters such a situation, she doesn't know what to do for a while. Tiantian can't do too intense physical skills during her menstrual period, which limits Tiantian's strength to a large extent. This is also an important reason why the proportion of female ninjas in the total number of ninjas is not high. Tianyu knew why she was so surprised by the manipulation threat he gave her, because this thing can not only make up for some of her shortcomings in physical skills at certain times, but also perfectly deal with the wind escape ninjutsu that is most restraining to her ninja tools, which can be regarded as killing two birds with one stone. But if it's just like this, is it really enough? Tianyu pondered for a moment and said to Tiantian, "Sister, come with me tomorrow. I'll take you to a place." Tiantian nodded obediently without asking too much. She was of course 100% assured of her brother. In the evening, her father and mother who had returned from business also returned home. They were of course very happy about the gifts Tianyu bought for them. When Tianyu asked about rebuilding the house, his father Tiantian laughed and said, "This is all thanks to Tianyu. If he hadn't won the order for those weapons from the Hawkage before, I'm afraid that their family's previous savings would not be enough to rebuild the house." The profit from that order was much larger than they had expected before. During this period, his father Tiantian made a lot of money and became the largest weapons dealer in the entire Konoha village. And the wealth of Tianyu's family has now reached a very astonishing level. Even compared with those big families, their financial resources are quite impressive. In the evening of the next day, Tianyu took Tiantian out. They went to a slightly farther street. That street was very different from the place where Tianyu and his friends usually went shopping. It was full of lights and neon lights. Even though it was not completely dark at this time, the street was already brightly lit, and various neon lights were flashing in the air. Izakaya, custom shops, gambling houses. There were sounds of laughter and joy everywhere. There were also some drunkards, holding wine pots in their hands, staggering out of the tavern, shouting loudly. There were also some beautiful women in very revealing clothes, with long hair and tight skirts that barely covered the important parts of their bodies. They stood on the street with hot bodies to attract customers, which made many drunkards distracted. They stretched out their hands, hugged their waists and walked into the custom shop. Standing at the door of this street, Tiantian had a strange expression on his face and stared at Tianyu, as if he was meeting his brother for the first time, with a cautious face as if facing a great enemy. "Tell me, when did you become a bad person?" Tiantian asked with a gnashing teeth. Being a bad person? How could I be a bad person? Tianyu spread his hands innocently. You want to come to this kind of place. And you brought me along, and you still say you didn't become a bad person. Humph. Is this a place for decent people? I'll tell my mom when I get home. Tiantian pouted angrily, with an expression on her face as if she was going to go back and complain, and turned around to leave. Wait a minute. Tianyu grabbed Tiantian's arm and said helplessly, this is my first time to come to this kind of place, and I brought you here this time, not to let you play with these things, but to take you to meet someone. He thought silently in his heart, if Tiantian saw that scene. I'm afraid the idle image she has always had in her mind will collapse soon, right? Tianyu took Tiantian, and the two of them walked through the alley and headed deep into the street. Of course, in order to make Tiantian, who looked reluctant, follow him into this brightly lit area, Tianyu bought her a portion of her favorite fish balls at the stall at the entrance of the alley, and then she reluctantly agreed to go in with Tianyu. And just after the two of them walked a few hundred meters, at a fork in the alley, there was a small door with a curtain hanging on it. A big gamble was written on the door. Some noise could be heard faintly from inside. Ha ha ha, we must make a fortune from her today. Make a fortune. Make a fortune. Lady Tsunade finally came back to Konoha once in so many years. We must make a lot of money from her. And Lady Tsunade has been very generous recently. Are you ready? Don't worry, we've prepared it a long time ago, just waiting for the big fat sheep to take the bait. Tianyu stood outside the curtain of the casino, with a speechless expression on his face. After sighing, he walked towards the casino. In fact, Tianyu doesn't like gambling. Or rather, in the process of studying ninja tools, he has already studied these tricks of the gambling house thoroughly. In any gambling game of chess, cards, sieves, etc., his skills can beat the whole world, and there is no possibility of losing. Therefore, he finds gambling very boring. Moreover, he is not short of money now. He only carries out tasks because he wants to improve his strength through actual combat and enjoy the excitement of licking blood on the tip of the knife. If he is not looking for Tsunade, he will not come to such a place. The clan land of the once powerful Senju clan has now disappeared. If there is still a place in Konoha where Tsunade can be found, it is only here, the largest gambling house in Konoha. Lifting the curtain, Tianyu pulled Tiantian in. Tiantian was in such a place for the first time, so he looked very nervous. He hid most of his body behind Tianyu in fear, and looked very well behaved. Inside the casino, there are large rooms with tatami mats. In each room, there are already many people sitting, surrounding the gambling tables. Different chaotic noises can be heard from different rooms. Ha ha ha. I won again this time. Damn it. I bet wrong again. No. I must make this money back today. Today's luck is too bad. Alice. Dot. What's wrong with you? Tianyu and Tiantian just walked into the casino. A middle-aged man who looked a bit fierce came towards them. He looked like the owner of this gambling house. We don't accept spectators here. If you want to watch, buy a ticket, otherwise get out quickly. This is a relatively high-end gambling house. Even if you don't gamble, you still need to pay for the basic tickets. This can screen out many people with limited financial resources to a certain extent. 2 tickets. Tianyu took out a purse from his arms and shook it in front of him. Don't worry, we are here to gamble. Chapter 87. This is my brother. The owner of the gambling house looked at Tianyu and Tiantian again. They looked to be only 12 or 13 years old. It was rare for them to come to the gambling house to gamble at such an age. If they were ordinary 12 or 13-year-old children, they would be driven away directly. However, they were both wearing ninja uniforms and Konoha Ford protectors. If they were ninjas from the village. The casino owner turned around and told the waiter next to him something, and immediately processed tickets for them. After paying a fee, Tianyu and Tiantian walked towards the small rooms in the gambling house one by one. Finally, at the door of a room, he heard the familiar voice. HMPH, you bunch of bastards, just wait to lose today. I must make back all the money I lost before. The unhappy voice of the woman rang out, and the guests who were playing with her nearby hurriedly smiled apologetically to her. Although they all regarded Tsunade as a big fat sheep, they would not ignore Tsunade's status in the village. That is to say, Tsunade's gambling character is relatively good. She will not take it out on others if she loses, and she will pay back the money she borrows. Otherwise, They really would not dare to gamble with Tsunade. Lady Tsunade, look at what you said. One of them grinned and said flatteringly, we play this game just for fun. The money you lost can be recovered by completing a mission. Besides, you are not someone who can't afford to lose. But then again, winning or losing depends entirely on luck. Don't think that we are teaming up to deceive you. That's right, Lady Tsunade, we are old acquaintances. Even when I played cards with the first generation, he lost more than he won. Don't take to heart those words that are circulating outside. An elderly man said with a smile. He was a frequent visitor to the gambling house and even relied on the money he earned from his card-playing skills to support his family. Lady Tsunade has lost several games in the past few days. It's time to win once. Alright, alright. Tsunade interrupted their compliments impatiently, and waved her hand in a rather domineering manner. Don't say those useless things, start playing. I can afford to lose. Okay. Lady Tsunade, what shall we play today? Bridge. Okay. Tsunade nodded simply, then reached into her pocket and took out a handful of banknotes, roughly counted them and put them on the table in front of her, very casually. With Tsunade's strength, no one dared to use irregular means to attack her. Tsunade had only been back to Konoha for a few days, and she and Shizune had not been back to Konoha for a long time, so after they returned to Konoha, Shizune went back to the Kato clan to take a look. At this time, there was only Tsunade in the gambling house. After no one was around to restrain her, Tsunade gambled more wantonly and generously. The dealer picked up the bridge cards and began to shuffle them. Others also began to pay money. The amount they played was quite large. The person with the least money also took out tens of thousands of taels of silver notes. Tsunade took out the most, at least hundreds of thousands of taels, and there were 100,000 tael silver notes. This is. Seeing the beautiful woman in a green robe and long golden hair tied into two low ponytails, Tiantian's mouth opened into an O shape, with unstoppable surprise in her eyes. She had seen this person's appearance in the scroll of Konoha's information. This person is the idol she has always admired and yearned for the most since she was a child. Tsunade-sama. Oh my god! Exclamation mark. It's really her! Exclamation mark. She looks exactly like the portrait in the scroll. Even though more than 10 years have passed since the time of the portrait, her appearance has not changed at all. Her figure is still so hot and her appearance is still so beautiful. This is the real Tsunade-sama! Exclamation mark. Brother, did you see it? I am not dreaming, I seem to see. Tiantian was so excited that she was incoherent. She shook Tianyu's arm desperately, unable to hide her excitement. Yes, this woman is indeed Tsunade. Tianyu nodded and said to her, I brought you here this time just to see her. Tiantian's expression of surprise became even more intense. When she looked at Tianyu, there was also a little more admiration. No way, brother, you even know Lady Tsunade? You are too amazing, right? Tianyu smiled and said nothing. He knew Tsunade more than anything else. Not only did he know her at this time, but he also had a pretty good relationship with her. Tianyu did not rush to ask Tsunade to speak, but stood aside silently, as a bystander, taking Tiantian with him, and watching Tsunade play a few games. As expected, Tsunade always loses every time she gambles. She didn't win any of the games she played. This time, unlike the last time, it was the people in the gambling house who were secretly doing something. This gambling house has been operating in Konoha village for many years. The model is quite formal, and the supervision of cheating is very strict. And Tsunade lost money this time. It was purely because she was a bad player. Tianyu watched Tsunade playing cards from the side, and it made him so angry. She had a good hand, but she played it so badly. This woman. Can she play bridge? The phrase people with bad cards is about you, right? Okay, Tsunade, stop playing. You have already lost a lot of money. Tianyu couldn't bear to watch Tsunade continue to lose, and finally couldn't help but speak. Tsunade, who had lost several games in a row and lost more than 100,000 taels, was already very depressed. Unexpectedly, at this time, she actually heard Tianyu's voice. Tsunade's face suddenly became excited. Huh? Tianyu, why are you here? I came to see you, to trouble you with something. Come on, come and help me play a few games. I just lost a lot of money and I'm feeling depressed. Tsunade pulled Tianyu to her side, and put her arm around Tianyu's neck, looking very intimate. I came to see you for something serious. Tianyu was a little speechless. Ho, helping me win money is the serious matter. Don't worry, as long as you help me win money, I will take care of anything you need. Tsunade laughed heartily, and Tianyu's appearance immediately swept away her depression. Really? Tianyu raised his eyebrows and immediately became interested. Of course. I keep my word. Tsunade immediately straightened her proud chest. So, Tianyu sat at the gambling table, where Tsunade was just now. Who is this kid? How come we have never seen him before? The other gamblers saw Tianyu, who was about 12 or 13 years old, with a handsome face and delicate features. He was just a half-grown child, and looked like a teenager. He looked like a young man from a big family who was ignorant of the world. This is my younger brother. Tsunade said with a smile, sitting next to Tianyu. Let my younger brother play a few games for me, and I will pay for it. Is that okay with you? Okay. Several people nodded. After all, it was Tsunade who paid, so they didn't have to worry about this kid having no money. It would be easy for them, the old hands, to win money from this young face who looked ignorant of the world. Anyway, as long as they could make money, it would be fine. The gambling game continued. I will be the banker first, and you just follow us. The older-looking old man took out the stack of bridge cards, and the others began to place bets, and Tianyu also bet all the last 50,000 taels left from Tsunade's loss. There were chuckles all around. Probably someone was laughing at him behind his back, thinking that he was a fool with a lot of money. Tiantian glared at those who laughed at her brother, then looked at her brother at the gambling table with a nervous look, feeling a little worried. She had never seen her brother play cards before. The cards were dealt again on the table. When watching the game before, Tianyu had already mastered the way to play this kind of bridge very thoroughly. The rules of the game are very simple: shuffle, deal, match, compare cards, and finally, compare points. Others only compare cards with a dealer. If the cards are of the same size, the dealer wins by half a point. Chapter 88 Art Captain. As time passed, Tianyu and his friends played bridge enthusiastically at the table. At the beginning, everyone had some wins and some losses, and they were basically evenly matched. After a few rounds of dealers, the situation on the gambling table began to change significantly. The money on Tianyu's table changed from 50,000 taels to 100,000 taels, 100,000 taels to 200,000 taels, 200,000 taels to 400,000 taels, 400,000 taels to 800,000 taels, and 800,000 taels to 1.6 million taels. In just half an hour, a thick layer of silver bills had already piled up on Tianyu's table. Good luck in gambling. The old man had said to Tianyu more than once, "Young man, you are so lucky." Of course, when he said this, if the smile on his face was not uglier than crying, Tianyu might have thought that the other party was really congratulating him. But is this really good luck in gambling? Of course not. Although the casino management is very strict, for real gamblers, cheating is an inevitable result. Tianyu had no psychological pressure on cheating, because everyone present cheated, or in other words, they would cheat whenever they wanted to place a big bet. It was gambling. In fact, there was no real gambling technique, because gambling was cheating. The peak duel between gambling masters was actually a duel of cheating. From this perspective, both sides cheated, and the duel was also very fair. It was just that Tianyu's methods were more sophisticated than theirs. So after a few rounds, Tianyu never lost again. After Tianyu won 1.6 million, several people on the scene suddenly couldn't sit still, their faces turned pale, and they began to give others subtle winks. "Let's have another big game," someone shouted at this time. Others were also waiting for such an opportunity to turn the tables in one fell swoop, so they all echoed. Tianyu had no objection to this, and once again bet all the money on his table. If Tianyu's cards were particularly bad this time, he would lose everything. Shuffle the cards, deal the cards. The room fell into a brief silence, and everyone picked up their cards and started dealing. Ah! There was a sudden exclamation, and the old man sitting opposite Tianyu suddenly laughed, his beard shaking with laughter. After dealing the cards, he glanced at everyone present, laughed and showed his cards on the table, and said proudly, "Ho-ha-ho-ha. Tianyu Dian. The biggest card. Ho-ha-ho-ha, it seems that I am the biggest winner tonight." Others didn't care at all how big the cards he got in this round, because he was not the dealer in this round, Tianyu was. Everyone had to compare cards with a dealer, and if this old man won, he would also win the dealer's money. Ha ha ha, little brother, give me the money quickly. The old man showed a very proud smile on his face, and said with a beaming eyebrow. Ahem, that? Tianyu coughed lightly, and then put the cards in his hand on the table. Sorry, I also have 9 points, and the dealer has half a point, so all kills. The casino suddenly fell into a strange silence. The old man's expression froze in place, and the expressions on the faces of others suddenly became very ugly. 9 points, all kills. Once the dealer gets this kind of card, there is no need to look at the cards of others. The dealer has a half-point advantage, and it is impossible to lose within the rules. After this round of all kills, Tianyu's capital doubled again, reaching a full 3.2 million. No, I don't have any money anymore. Sorry, I don't have any money either. The gamblers at the table left the table with pale faces, because the money on their table had already entered Tianyu's pocket, and the person who lost the most in this round was the old man opposite Tianyu. You kid are cheating. You must be cheating. The old man stood up in agitation, pointing at Tianyu and yelling. Speaking should be based on evidence. Which eye of yours saw me cheating? Tianyu narrowed his eyes, revealing a very dangerous aura. That's right. Are you planning to rob me? Tsunade also stood up and said at the right time. You. The old man wanted to continue to say something, but was stopped by the people next to him in time. Although they didn't know Tianyu, Princess Tsunade standing next to Tianyu was not so easy to provoke. Usually they want Tsunade's money, but today it was all won back by this kid, so they could only admit defeat. The old man could only turn green, and his expression was as ugly as if he had swallowed a fly, but because of Tsunade and the order of the casino, he didn't dare to say another word. Damn it. After Tianyu and Tsunade and the others left the casino, he finally couldn't help but roared loudly, then stood up and kicked over the table with tea next to Jen, with a sinister light flashing in his eyes. Ha, a woman's loud laughter sounded on the street, looking very happy and wanton. Tsunade reached out and patted Tianyu's shoulder, almost bending over with laughter, and tears came out of her eyes. Tianyu said faintly, is it really that happy? Of course. Tsunade's face showed great excitement. You didn't see that old man Jiangchuan. The expression on his face was just like he had eaten shit. The whole person was green. Ha, I have known that old man for so long, but this is the first time I see him look so defeated. Hey, are you familiar with him? Tianyu asked casually. Yeah, we used to play cards together often, and that old guy is really good at playing cards. Tsunade nodded and said, his name is Shimura Igo. He is the elder of the Shimura clan, and he was also a subordinate of my second grandfather when he was young. Tianyu was full of black lines on his head. Playing cards with you, is there anyone who is not good? You are a person who always loses in gambling. There is no way to be a standard for measuring other people's card-playing skills, right? But what surprised Tianyu was that he didn't expect that the old man was actually the elder of the Shimura clan. This identity is indeed a bit unusual. Tianyu's eyes flickered under the light, and he seemed to be thinking about something in his heart. And besides Tianyu, his sister Tiantian, who came with him, finally came back to her senses from seeing her idol and finally calmed down, but what happened later made her feel magical. Tsunade-sama, whom she admired the most since she was a child, is actually a gambler? And a gambler with poor card-playing skills? This is completely different from the great Tsunade-sama she imagined. Is this the collapsed house that his brother had told him about before? Collapsed houses happen every year. When he got closer, he saw that it was my house today. For a moment, the expression on Tiantian's face became complicated. Tianyu, why don't you come with me to wander around the ninja world and don't stay in Konoha? Suddenly, Tsunade said to Tianyu with shining eyes. No. Before Tianyu could say no, Tiantian was the first to reject Tsunade's idea. My brother finally joined the Anbu, how could he leave Konoha? Seeing the little girl speak, Tsunade said, huh? What's so good about Konoha? And a mere Anbu captain. Although he will be promoted to Anbu captain soon, what's so rare about this? Tiantian and Tianyu were both confused. Sub-captain. Tianyu asked carefully. Oh, it hasn't been officially communicated yet. Tsunade muttered. Did I raise your mission to S-level difficulty last time? After you left, I talked to old man Saratobi for a while, and he decided to give you a promotion. It should be a while before this transfer order is officially issued. Tianyu nodded, and whispered to Tsunade, "Thank you." He estimated that his promotion this time was probably helped by Tsunade. Tsunade did not hide it, and replied to Tianyu openly, "You're welcome. If you really want to thank me, you can follow me when I leave Konoha. With you, I won't be afraid of losing money in the casino." Tsunade added with shining eyes. Tianyu's cheek twitched slightly. Forget about this. Tiantian was still in a daze. Anbu Captain S-level mission. Suddenly, Tiantian came to her senses and shouted at Tianyu in disbelief, "Brother, why did you go to perform an S-level mission? Didn't you tell me before that it was a B-level mission?" Although Tiantian is young and has not officially graduated from the ninja school, she also knows what an S-level mission means. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. How about I stay at your house for a few days? Tiantian, who knew the danger of the S-level mission, was very angry. As a sibling, she was really afraid of losing Tianyu, her brother. "Okay, Tiantian, don't be angry, I'm fine." Tianyu coaxed Tiantian for a long time, but it still didn't work. It was getting late, and the three of them walked farther and farther away on the streets of Konoha. When they came to their home, Tianyu said goodbye to Tsunade. "Tsunade-sama, I'll take Tiantian home first." "Yes, Tsunade-sama, is there anything else?" Tsunade suddenly came up with a bombshell. "Tianyu, how about I stay at your house for a few days?" Even Tianyu was shocked by Tsunade's remarks. "You're most welcome." "No." Tiantian, who was sulking, heard the words and rejected Tsunade's dangerous remarks again. She looked up and down at Tsunade with a bad look. She felt that the rumored Tsunade-sama might have ulterior motives for her brother. "Tiantian, stop making trouble." Tianyu patted Tiantian's head, then turned to Tsunade and said, "Tiantian's words, please don't mind her, she is just a little kid. Tsunade-sama wants to stay at my house temporarily, it's my honor. This way, please." Tianyu gestured to Tsunade to walk in the direction of his house. Tsunade also nodded, not minding Tiantian's words, and walked forward on her own. "Brother," Tiantian wanted to say something, but Tianyu shook his head. "Tiantian, you think too much?" Tianyu certainly knew what Tiantian was thinking, but how could this be possible? What bad intentions could a big fat sheep have? She just knew that the one who is close to the water tower would get the moon's grace first. She just wanted to find Tianyu at any time when she lost money in the casino, and pull Tianyu, her helper, over to find a place. "Tsunade-sama, are you going to invite Shizune to stay at my house?" "Her?" Tsunade hesitated for a moment. Although she followed me to travel around the ninja world when she was young, she also has some friends in Konoha. Forget it, let's not invite her. Let her chat with the people she knew in Konoha these days. After that, Tsunade muttered softly again. If she knew that I went to the casino in Konoha, she would yell at me. Tianyu was embarrassed. This is the real reason behind the relationship, right? Exclamation mark. "Tsunade-sama, this is my home." After a few steps, they arrived at Tianyu's home. "Wow, your house is quite big. Tsunade, you didn't buy this mansion with the money you won in the casino, did you?" Tiantian was full of black lines. The legendary three ninjas, Tsunade-sama who changed the ninja system and promoted medical ninjas, completely collapsed in Tiantian's heart. "My family owns the largest ninja tool shop in Konoha. How could we get rich by my brother's gambling?" Tiantian said with some dissatisfaction. Tsunade looked at Tianyu in surprise. This guy is a rich second generation without making any noise. Tianyu smiled. "Tsunade-sama, please." The three of them entered the house one after another. As soon as they entered the house, Tianyu's parents heard the sound. "Tianyu, where did you take Tiantian so late?" "Hey, this is." Seeing Tsunade, the two elders were a little surprised. Tianyu brought a woman back. "This woman is beautiful, but isn't the age difference between her and Tianyu a little big?" Looking at the way his parents looked at Tsunade, Tianyu's forehead was black. "Where are you all thinking?" Exclamation mark. "This is a friend of mine, well, a very good friend. She will stay at our house for a few days. After a little pause, Tianyu still felt that it would be better not to let his parents know Tsunade's identity. His parents were originally honest ninja tool merchants in Konoha. Although they were deeply involved with ninjas, Tianyu thought it would be better not to let them get too deeply involved in the ninja circle of influence. Come with me. Before Tsunade could greet Tianyu's parents, Tianyu hurriedly pulled Tsunade into a house. This is. Tianyu's father looked at Tianyu's mother with a complicated question in his eyes. Tianyu. It seems that the relationship with this girl is really not simple. Mother, what do you think about us? The age difference between Tianyu and the girl seems to be a bit big. Boss, I think it's better to let Tianyu do it. Tianyu has never been close to any girl since he was a child. Now we finally bring one home, let's not do anything that will make Tianyu unhappy. That's okay, you are right. Tianyu's parents were communicating with the complex psychology of an old father and mother, but an inappropriate and crisp voice interrupted them. It was Tiantian. Hey, where are you all thinking about? Tiantian was very unhappy. Although she had a bad feeling when she heard that Princess Tsunade was going to live in her house on the way, but seeing that her parents agreed, Tiantian's slightly brother control soul in her heart could not hold on. She had to change her parents' minds. Brother will not be with her, the person just now was Lady Tsunade. They can't be together. What? Tsunade? The Princess Tsunade of the Three Ninjas. Tianyu's parents were shocked, but they still didn't dare to believe it, and continued to ask Tiantian. Princess Tsunade of the Senju clan. Granddaughter of the first Hokage, Princess Tsunade. Tianyu's parents surrounded Tiantian's ears on both sides and asked questions. Tiantian felt that her head was about to explode. Can you speak slowly? Don't be so anxious. Yes, it's the Tsunade you think of. That woman is Tsunade, one of the three ninjas, and Princess Tsunade of the Senju clan, and also the granddaughter of the first Hokage. Lady Tsunade actually came to their house as a guest. And she also wanted to stay at their house for a few days. This shock was so great. It made Tianyu's parents stand there speechless for a long time. Tsunade-sama is a legendary figure who is active in World War II. She is several times older than her brother, so it is impossible for her and her brother to be together. Hey, are you listening to me? Dad? Mom? After saying this, Tiantian saw that her parents did not respond, and she realized that her parents were standing there, so she stepped forward and shook her parents' arms. I'm listening. Tsunade-sama is here. Tsunade-sama is visiting my house. Wife, go and cook a few more dishes to entertain Tsunade-sama. It takes a long time for the master to cook. Don't let Tsunade-sama wait for a long time. Let's go to the restaurant to buy it back. Yes, you are right, I will go now. Master, hurry up, I will go to clean up the room now. Oh, why is this house so messy? The two rushed out in a hurry, one ran out, and the other hurriedly cleaned up the room in the house, which was not messy. Mom and Dad. Are you listening to me? Tiantian was a little upset. The point of what she said was not that Tsunade-sama was coming to visit their home. I'm listening. The mother who was cleaning the house did not stop her work and perfunctorily replied to Tiantian's words. Tiantian, don't just stand there, come and help me clean the house. Sama Tsunade is such a legendary figure coming to our home, we have to clean the room clean to entertain her. Tiantian. In the room, Tianyu told Tsunade what he was thinking, that he didn't want his parents to be too involved in the ninja world, and asked Tsunade to cooperate with him and not reveal her true identity. Tsunade knew it clearly. She had been active on the battlefield and wandered in the ninja world. Tsunade was no stranger to Tianyu's worries. She understood Tianyu's worries very well and said that she would cooperate with Tianyu to conceal her identity. Tsunade immediately arranged a pseudonym and identity for herself, Senju, a remnant of the Senju clan. According to Tsunade, there is a reason for her alias. As for what the reason is, Tianyu didn't hear it clearly. Anyway, Tsunade said that if she strictly follows this reason, she will win money in the casino next time. Tianyu's cheek twitched. He really? My dear Tsunade, don't you know how your title of Big Fat Sheep is known throughout the ninja world? If metaphysics is really useful, would you still have the title of Big Fat Sheep? Chapter 90. Something is wrong with him. After Tsunade was ready, Tianyu and Tsunade left the room. As a guest living in Tianyu's house, Tsunade couldn't fail to say hello to Tianyu's family, right? As soon as he went downstairs, Tianyu saw his parents' two fireworks exploded with two pops and pops. Welcome to Tsunade-sama. Colorful strips of color sprayed from the sky. Tianyu was stunned, and Tsunade was also stunned. Why can't my metaphysical alias Thousand Hands come to win come out? How can I win money tomorrow? This is Tsunade's inner thought. And Tianyu. He saw the table full of delicious food, and Tiantian who puffed up her little face and tilted her head as if she was sulking. He understood. Holding his forehead with his hand, Tianyu sighed. How could he forget Tiantian? Even an old horse can stumble sometimes. He was talking about Tianyu. But Tianyu is not old anymore, how could he forget this? Lady Tsunade, please. Tsunade's identity was exposed, and Tianyu had no choice but to accept this fact. Lady Tsunade, please sit here, sit here. Tianyu's parents quickly signaled that Tsunade should take the main seat. After all, Tsunade's status was there, and it was in accordance with etiquette to let such a person sit in the main seat. Tsunade smiled generously. It is not appropriate for a guest like me to sit in the main seat, so I will sit there. Tsunade found a seat and sat down. How can this be? Lady Tsunade, please take a seat. Tianyu's parents hurriedly said. Just treat her as an ordinary guest. Okay, sit down and prepare to eat, I'm hungry. Tianyu found an excuse that he was hungry, and pushed his parents to sit on the main seat. Okay, let's get ready to eat. Tianyu put his hands together, muttered, and started to eat. The banquet officially began. During the meal, Tianyu's parents and Tsunade chatted politely for a long time. Tsunade noticed that Tianyu's parents were a little restrained, so she showed a carefree appearance, which made Tianyu's parents gradually let go of their restraint during the banquet. This meal lasted more than 2 hours. Mom, you help Dad go back to rest. Turning his head and looking at Tsunade who was also drunk, Tianyu shook his head. I'll take Tsunade-sama to the room to rest. Tsunade and Tianyu's father drank too much during this meal. Okay. Tianyu's mother was also a little dazed. In this situation where the legendary three ninjas were visiting her home, she was also happy to drink a few glasses. Remember what we agreed on just now. Don't tell anyone that Tsunade-sama is visiting our house. Remember, I remember. After another nagging, Tianyu's parents supported each other back to the room, and Tianyu also helped Tsunade, whose face was flushed and her loose clothes were a little messy, back to the guest room. Tiantian muttered a few words quietly, and then began to clean up the mess on the table. Her parents were drunk, so she had to clean up the dishes, tables and chairs. In the guest room, Tianyu took a lot of effort to help the drunk Tsunade to the bed. The loose clothes could not hide her charm in front of this proud figure. The smooth skin with red in the white was exposed, and the peaks were towering and ready to come out. Tianyu shook his head, but he had a strong tolerance and was a little shaken by the impact of such a scene. After throwing Tsunade to the bed, he hurriedly left the room. He is not a hypocrite who takes advantage of others' misfortune. He would rather be a villain than a hypocrite. Well, after leaving Tsunade's room, Tianyu took a few deep breaths. He had to calm himself down. Hey brother, what's wrong with you? At this time, Tiantian, who was cleaning up the mess, passed by and saw Tianyu's loss of composure. No, it's okay. I'm going back to my room to rest. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed in the wooden corridor. Tianyu's mood had not yet calmed down. By the way, Tiantian, you should rest early after you finish cleaning up. Before entering his room, Tianyu did not forget to tell his sister. Well, I know. Tiantian responded with a worried look on her face. Something is wrong with her brother. The next day, Tsunade went out early in the morning. Tianyu guessed without even thinking that Tsunade went to the casino to be a money-giving boy. As a ninja of Konoha, he got a rare vacation, and he didn't want to go out to play and rest. Early this morning, Tianyu got up and went straight to the forging room. During this mission, he got the puppet doll blueprint. He had to tinker with it. Suddenly, it was noon, and Tianyu's parents rushed into Tianyu's exclusive forging room. Tianyu, I heard from Tiantian that you were on an S-level mission last time. The mother looked worried. And the father? He clenched his fists, seemed very nervous, but his face was very serious. Tianyu, I heard that you are going to be promoted to the captain of the Anbu. Tianyu stopped the work in his hands, smiled at the two elders, and comforted them. Mom and Dad, I encountered an S-level mission, but you misunderstood. Tiantian is really a girl. I am not going to carry out an S-level mission, but a B-level mission. I told you that it was a B-level mission before the last mission. I didn't lie to you. It's just that some mistakes happened in the middle of this mission, and I encountered more things. After returning to the village, the Hokage judged this mission as an S-level mission. As for the captain of the Anbu, it was Tsunade-sama who told me last night, otherwise I wouldn't know about it. After Tianyu explained, Tianyu's father said to his mother, I said, Tianyu is a sensible person, how could he mess around? Now Tianyu is the captain of the Anbu, don't delay Tianyu with your womanly kindness. After speaking, the father was silent for a while. Then he spoke softly. Tianyu, we don't ask you to do anything. We support you in whatever you want to do, but you should be more careful in the future. Although we don't understand the powerful ninja world, if you have any difficulties, don't keep them to yourself. You can tell me and your mother. We will do our best to help you. Tianyu felt warm in his heart. I know, thank you, father, thank you, mother. Don't worry, I don't have any ambitions, I won't mess around, and I won't take the initiative to accept dangerous people. This position of the captain of the Anbu. And that S-level mission. This is really just a coincidence. After reassuring the two elders, Tianyu chatted with them for a while. After his parents left, Tianyu started forging again. It was nighttime, and a big fat sheep with a proud golden ponytail came to Tianyu's forging room. Tianyu, help me. Those grandsons in the casino must have cheated. Cheating is fine, but they also mocked me. I smashed their store in a rage, but old man Saratobi came over to stop immediate. Although I smashed their store, I still couldn't bear it. Tianyu sighed, he knew it. The big fat sheep would definitely go to the casino with him if he stayed at his house. How much did you lose? 1 million taels. 10 million taels. Tianyu. That casino must have cheated. Tianyu chuckled. Tianyu didn't disbelieve Tsunade. Casinos, they make money. Cheating is a very common thing. If there is a casino that doesn't cheat, Tianyu would find it strange. Okay, I'll go with you one more time. Just this one time. Tianyu wanted to reject Tsunade, and wanted to tell her to quit gambling, telling her that gambling is not fun. But is Tsunade's gambling addiction really that easy to quit? Shizune has been with Tsunade for decades, and every time Tsunade gambled, she tried to persuade her to quit, but failed. It's not a matter of a day or two to get Tsunade to quit gambling. To be honest, Tianyu wanted to reject Tsunade, let her suffer a big loss in gambling, and then Tianyu would come forward to help her wake up. But Tsunade smashed other people's stores. It seems that these people really touched Tsunade's reverse scale. In this case, Tianyu had to help. Chapter 91 Daily Apprenticeship. Late at night, a man and a woman walked in the quiet streets of Konoha. The blonde was in a very good mood, and her hearty laughter resounded through the streets. Tsunade was in a good mood. Tianyu helped her get back her money again. Not only did she win back the original capital of 10 million, but she also won an extra 20 million taels of money. Although Tianyu didn't give Tsunade a penny of the 20 million taels, Tsunade was still very happy. Because the casino that made her very unhappy was won by Tianyu. Tianyu, this time it's all thanks to you. Not only did you help me win back the money, but you also won the casino. Tell me, how should I repay you for this favor? The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. Tsunade blinked her watery eyes and looked at Tianyu, with a special taste. No, you have nothing to repay me. Tianyu responded without understanding the romance. Oh. Boy, can't I, Tsunade, repay you for this favor? Tsunade's tone changed. Tianyu felt something was wrong and blurted out immediately. Then please ask Tsunade-sama to guide my sister in her practice. Your sister? Tsunade paused. She remembered Tiantian who was a little bit against her. 10 million this time. Plus the previous 2 times. Tsunade muttered a few words, then nodded. Okay. I agree. Tianyu's mouth twitched. Is it that necessary? Exclamation mark. And count the money he won for her before? Is it so difficult to guide a little kid in his practice? After returning home, Tianyu went into the forging room again. The production of the Earth Resentment U had reached a critical moment. He wanted to quickly forge the Earth Resentment U and try it out. The next day, it had been done for a long time, But Tianyu hadn't gotten up yet. It was too late to forge the earth resentment you last night, and Tianyu didn't go to bed until dawn. Before he had slept for long, he was woken up by Tiantian. Brother, did you ask me to become Tsunade's disciple? No, I don't want to. He got up from the bed in a daze and heard Tiantian making a big fuss. Become a disciple. Wait, I'll take my time. Tianyu sat up from the bed and paused for 2 minutes before he remembered. Last night he told Tsunade that if he wanted to repay him, he would guide Tiantian in his practice. Become a disciple. Oh, Tsunade misunderstood. Tianyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No wonder she was so fussy last night, so this is what happened. After understanding the current situation, Tianyu said to Tiantian, "It's a good thing that Lady Tsunade agreed to take you as a disciple. Why are you still not happy?" Tiantian pouted. After a long while, he slowly opened his mouth and said with grievance, "I don't want to become a gambler in the future." What does being a gambler have to do with becoming Tsunade's disciple? Tianyu wondered. The other day when I went to the casino with you, I heard someone call her a big fat sheep, saying that she perfectly inherited the gambling addiction and luck of the first Hokage. If I become her apprentice, she will pass this habit on to me. I don't want to be such a useless adult. Rumor. This is a rumor, don't believe it. Tianyu laughed and patted Tiantian's little head. At the same time, he also sighed that the people in this casino are really reckless. They dare to say such words, and they are not afraid of getting into trouble. Everyone develops their own habits. If you don't want to become a gambler, others can't control you, let alone infect you. Children are still children. Children in the Naruto world are precocious, but it is inevitable that their knowledge is not comprehensive. But Tiantian still pouted. Tianyu didn't know Tiantian's little thoughts. Tiantian. From downstairs, the clear voice of Tianyu's father came. The heavy footsteps approached. Tiantian, come down quickly. Tsunade-sama wants to accept you as a disciple. This is a great thing. Why did you come to Tianyu? Tiantian still hesitated. Tianyu's father followed up and said, come down quickly. How many people want to become Tsunade-sama's disciples but return empty-handed? Go quickly, you won't suffer any loss if you become Tsunade-sama's disciple. Tianyu also advised Tiantian. Well, then. I hope Tsunade-sama's gambling addiction won't infect me. How can you talk like that? You have to call me Tsunade-sama. Tianyu's father scolded Tiantian. Oh, that's not right. You have to call me Tsunade-sama from now on. After saying that, Tianyu's father took Tiantian downstairs to become his disciple. In the room, Tianyu just smiled. Being woken up by Tiantian, although he only slept for 3 or 4 hours, he was almost rested. After getting up and washing up, Tianyu prepared to go to the forging room. Well, Tsunade accepts a disciple. This is not gambling to help win money, nor is it a favor that can be measured by money. Tianyu wants to make another item to give to Tsunade. He wants to make friends with Tsunade. Helping each other is fine. But the value of the things that the two help each other in return is too great, which will be detrimental to their friendship. Well, what to make? As soon as I went downstairs, I saw Tiantian bowing and serving tea to Tsunade, who was sitting in the upper seat. She was performing the ceremony of apprenticeship. This is not like the ninja school, where after graduation, you will be assigned a senior ninja mentor. Tiantian performed the real traditional ceremony of apprenticeship, which has been passed down since the Warring States period. It is very strict. This is what Tianyu's parents asked Tiantian to do. Tiantian, who was serving tea to Tsunade, still pouted her mouth and did not seem very happy. Tsunade reached out to take the teacup and took a sip symbolically. From today on, you are my disciple, Princess Tsunade, and you will call me teacher from now on. Yes, ha. Seeing Tiantian looking a little aggrieved, Tsunade did not feel unhappy at all, but laughed out loud. Little guy. See how I can make you obedient. Follow me. Tsunade stood up from her chair domineeringly and walked out. Where are you going? Tiantian asked. Since I am your teacher now, I naturally have to be responsible for you. Before I guide you, go to the training ground first and let me see your strength. Tsunade strode out without looking back. And Tiantian just paused for a step, and then followed Tsunade out. Tianyu's parents saw that their daughter Tiantian had officially become Tsunade's apprentice, and they were both ecstatic. Tianyu also chatted with her parents for a while before tying her hair and entering the forging room. 2 hours later, at Konoha No. 1 training ground, Tiantian was sweating and panting heavily, and the dozens of training targets in front of Tiantian were all pierced with kunai, shuriken and other ninja tools. Is that all? Tsunade frowned and seemed very dissatisfied with Tiantian's performance. She thought that with such a perverted brother like Tiantian would be very evil. However, Tiantian's performance was not bad, at least she could take the top spot in the ninja school. But it was still far behind Tianyu. Humph! Seeing Tsunade's dissatisfied look, Tiantian snorted in anger. She is now Tsunade's disciple, and Tiantian still understands that she cannot refute her teacher. Tsunade brought her to the training ground and started training directly. In the 2 hours, Tiantian did not stop even though she was forced by Tsunade. High-intensity trials, and high-intensity trials that lasted for 2 hours. Tiantian was already a well-known figure in Konoha for not making any mistakes, but Tsunade was still not satisfied? Exclamation mark. Tiantian was dissatisfied with Tsunade as her teacher. Get out of the way. I want to use this training ground. In the distance, a ninja who looked like a dog and was a few years older than Tiantian walked over arrogantly. Seeing this person, Tiantian's eyebrows were tightly knitted together. All her dissatisfaction with Tsunade disappeared, and she was replaced by dissatisfaction with that dog-like guy. Teacher, let's go. Tiantian called to Tsunade. Go? Where to go? The trial is not over yet. Don't try to cheat. If you want to keep up with your brother, you have to continue training. Tsunade responded unceremoniously. Tiantian took a deep breath to keep herself calm, and then explained to Tsunade. Teacher, I'm not cheating. That person is from the Shimura clan. Every time he comes, he requisitions the training ground. If we don't leave, he will make trouble for us. How? Tsunade sneered. Requisition the public training ground No. 1. Could this Konoha be his? Just stay here and continue training. I want to see how he causes trouble for us. Chapter 92, Smashing the Training Ground with One Punch. Tsunade got angry. Although Tiantian didn't want to do this, she couldn't disobey her master's order. She gritted her teeth and stayed in the training ground to continue the test given by Tsunade. Huh? Why are there still people over there? Seeing that I am here, why don't you retreat and leave the training ground to me? Go, you guys go over and teach them a lesson. The man who spoke was not very old, but his temper was extremely arrogant. However, he gave orders, but the subordinates who came with him to protect him did not move. Although Tsunade left Konoha for more than 10 years, many people knew Tsunade. Someone among the guards of the Shimura clan recognized Tsunade. Master, I dare not touch this person, and I can't beat him. Before the young man of the Shimura clan asked questions, his subordinates explained. Master, you'd better not provoke that person, you can't afford it. That's Princess Tsunade, the granddaughter of the first Hokage, the princess of the Senju clan, and the direct disciple of the third Hokage. The young man from the Shimura clan looked as ugly as pig liver. He wanted to say something or do something to regain the face of his identity as the young master of the Shimura clan, but the servants guarding him was right. Princess Tsunade. He really can't afford to provoke. Forget it. In the end, he had to say dejectedly, the training ground is still so empty, and their little space is not a big deal. Don't worry about them, let's train ours. Yes, master. The Shimura clan and his group began their training journey dejectedly. Although there were many of them, they were mainly training for the young master of the Shimura clan, but the space they occupied was not small. The training targets, ninja tools, and imaginary enemies. To be honest, they occupied most of the training ground, but it was useless. Tiantian, target number 1 and target number 3 are also included in the training. Tsunade-sensei, this. Do as I say. Yes. Tsunade and Tiantian's training area was also expanded. Their training ground conflicted with the area occupied by the Shimura clan. But because of Tsunade's face, they didn't dare to do anything. Forget it, there's no need to use such a large area anyway. The young master of the Shimura clan thought so. But not long after, Tsunade gave another order, add target number 4 and target number 6 as well. Tsunade and Tiantian's training area was even larger. Swish, 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 kunai broke through the air and flew everywhere in the number 1 training ground. A dark light flew past the young master of the Shimura clan. It was Tiantian's kunai. Almost hurt him. This time, the young master of the Shimura clan was angry. Hey, Do you have eyes? Don't you know that there are people training here? Tsunadeheim? Even if it was Tsunadeheim, so what? If I hadn't stopped just now, I'm afraid my life would have been in danger. He couldn't bear it. At this time, Tiantian stopped training. She was a little at a loss. With Tianyu's teachings, Tiantian is not a reckless man. If possible, she really doesn't want to cause this trouble. Tiantian, did I ask you to stop? You failed the trial. With your current state, you will never catch up with your brother Tianyu in your life. Tsunade scolded Tiantian angrily. Tiantian shrugged and didn't react. Okay, you can say whatever you want. Even if you say that I can't even beat the students of the ninja school, I won't refute it. Throwing kunai, Tiantian threw it under Tsunade's strong pressure. The kunai that almost hurt the young master of the Shimura clan was also forced by Tsunade. Now that the young master of the Shimura clan is dissatisfied, if Tiantian doesn't stop, the so-called young master of the Shimura clan will hate her. You know, the power of the Shimura clan in Konoha is not small. Tenten didn't want a giant to remember her and make things difficult for her. After Tsunade scolded Tenten, she turned around and faced the young master Shimura who almost lost his life. What's the matter? Little boy, do you have anything to say to me? After Tsunade scolded Tenten, her delicate face was full of anger, as if she was very dissatisfied with Tenten. Seeing Tsunade's anger, the guardian of the Shimura clan did not dare to take a step forward, and the young master of the Shimura clan instantly became timid. We are training here, and you are throwing kunai from such a distance, it's very dangerous. After thinking for a long time, the arrogant young master Shimura could only say this timidly. This is Konoha's public training ground, I can train you however I want. On the other hand, Tsunade, she was domineering at this moment. You're scolding me, so this training ground is owned by your family. Tsunade narrowed her eyes, and a dangerous aura made the guards of the Shimura clan abandon their young master and take a few steps back. Princess Tsunade, that is a legendary figure who is active in World War II. That is a figure who fought with the demigod Hanzo and won the title of Sannin. At this moment, Tsunade exudes an atmosphere like going to the battlefield, majestic and dangerous. It is impossible for the guardians of the Shimura clan not to notice something strange. This is of course not owned by my family. But this is a public training ground after all, a training ground used by everyone, you should at least be polite. The domineering Shimura-san, who had made way for everyone in the training ground and occupied the #1 training ground, said so. Only the state officials are allowed to set fires, but the people are not allowed to light lamps? Hearing what Master Shimura said, Tsunade laughed. This was a laugh of extreme anger. Okay, then I'll be more polite. Tsunade did not argue with Master Shimura, but walked leisurely to the target in the center of the training ground. Then can I use this target? Master Shimura was confused. He didn't know what Tsunade was going to do, but he saw his guardians retreating step by step when Tsunade approached. Facing Tsunade's question, he nodded woodenly, of course. Tsunade laughed and shook her shoulders. It's been a long time since I came to the training ground to exercise. Tenten, stay away. Tenten, who was at least 10 meters away from Tsunade, was a little confused. The distance between us is not close, right? What is Teacher Tsunade going to do? Tenten was a little puzzled, but she still obeyed Teacher Tsunade's order and stepped back several steps. Not enough, further away. Tenten, who didn't know what Tsunade was going to do, simply ran to the edge of the training ground. Hearing Tsunade telling her disciple Tenten to retreat, and retreat so far, the smart Shimura guardian retreated farther than Tenten early, and Master Shimura was still a little confused. Even if he was confused, he knew he should retreat further. But before he took a few steps, he heard Tsunade shouting behind him. Watch out, Tenten. This is the first move I'm going to teach you. Ha! A huge amount of chakra surged and gathered on Tsunade's right hand. With her right hand clenched into a fist, Tsunade suddenly smashed towards the target in the center of the #1 training ground. Boom! The training target shattered as soon as it met Tsunade's fist. Then Tsunade's fist slammed hard on the ground, and a dull sound spread throughout Konoha. Boom! Tenten only felt the ground beneath his feet shaking violently. Crack, 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 the ground of the #1 training ground cracked inch by inch, and terrifying cracks covered the entire training ground like a spider web. Chapter 93 Accountability. Tenten's eyes sparkled, staring at Tsunade intently, eyes full of admiration. With one punch, the huge training ground was smashed to pieces. This was the Tsunade-sama in her heart, this was the Sannin, this was the granddaughter of the first Hokage that Konoha was proud of, this was the princess of the Senju clan. The most important thing was that this person was Tenten's teacher. Forget it, today's trial ends here. Tenten, let's go back. Standing in the center of the cracked spider web, Tsunade yelled "Disk," called Tenten disapprovingly, and walked towards Tianyu's house without looking back. Yes, Teacher Tsunade. Tenten answered excitedly with little stars in her eyes. Then Tenten followed Tsunade like a little follower. Training ground number 1, in the cracks of the cracked ground, save me, save me. The arrogant young master of the Shimura family fell into a narrow pit. After waiting for a long time, the guardian sent by the Shimura clan to his side slowly came. Master, Master, are you okay? Master, I will rescue you right away. At Tianyu's house, Tsunade sat on the tatami in the living room, her eyebrows slightly frowned, and she seemed to be in a bad mood. Huh? They actually occupied the public training ground. The people of the Shimura clan are really arrogant. After so many years of development, Konoha now is not even as good as it was before. In the living room, Tsunade was in a bad mood. Although she left Konoha for more than 10 years, Konoha, which was founded by her grandfather Senju Hashirama, is her root. Seeing such a thing in Konoha, Tsunade was really worried. How to relieve her worries? Only Dukang. Tsunade, who was in the living room of Tianyu's house, picked up the wine glass in front of her and drank it all. Gudong. As soon as Tsunade put down the glass, she heard the gurgling sound of wine. Tiantian squatted beside her and added wine for Tsunade. Why are you staying here? Go and practice. Tiantian smiled and said, I am your disciple. Taking care of the teacher is what a disciple should do. When Tiantian saw Tsunade, who looked like a gambler, in the casino, her perception of Tsunade collapsed. But when she saw Tsunade smashing the huge training ground with the one punch, Tiantian's heart was filled with the greatness of Tsunade, who looked like a 3 ninja. She is back. Teacher Tsunade said before that she would teach me that move. When I learn it, Tiantian was so happy. My brother asked Teacher Tsunade to accept me as a disciple. It's great. Why do I need a half-grown kid like you to take care of me? Tsunade shook her head and said, I have something to do later, you can practice by yourself. Tiantian paused and confirmed that she said, Teacher, you are not going to the casino later, are you? What are you thinking about? Tsunade gently tapped Tiantian's little head, it's business. Someone will take me to see old man Sarutobi in a while. Not long after the voice fell, a shadow appeared in front of Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, Hokage-sama invites you. Tiantian was stunned. Is Teacher Tsunade so amazing? Is this the legendary Sannin who can predict everything? Tsunade nodded to the Anbu. I'll go right away, you go back first. This. The Anbu was a little undecided. Tsunade said in a deep voice, why? Are you going to force me to go there? After that, a wave of chakra surged from Tsunade's body. I dare not, of course I dare not. Then why don't you disappear quickly? Yes. The masked Anbu ninja turned into a black shadow and disappeared in front of Tsunade and Tiantian. And Tsunade picked up the wine glass in front of her and drank it all. She smashed the huge training ground with the one punch, which would reduce the use of a public place for the people of Konoha. After such a big thing, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Hokage, would naturally find Tsunade, the real owner. Tsunade knew this, and at this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen had sent someone to summon Tsunade. Tsunade did not act with the Anbu ninjas, and scolded the Anbu ninjas. It was not that Tsunade was willful. This was Tsunade deliberately showing off. A mere family disciple had no important matter and no compensation, but he wanted to requisition the training ground that had been open to the people of Konoha since the founding of Konoha. This matter illustrates a problem. That is, the current Konoha is far from being the Konoha of that time. After so many years of development, Konoha has become worse and worse. There are more and more problems? Exclamation mark. Tsunade must ask Sarutobi Hiruzen for an explanation. As a disciple of the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Tsunade naturally cannot blame her teacher. But Tsunade's identity is not simple. From her own name as a 3 ninja, she is qualified to ask Sarutobi Hiruzen questions when she sees such things, not to mention that she is the princess of the Senju clan who founded Konoha, not to mention that she is the granddaughter of the first-generation Hokage Senju Hashirama. Every identity of Tsunade cannot watch Konoha decay. Sarutobi Hiruzen summoned Tsunade to go. Tsunade went not to apologize to Sarutobi Hirozen, but she wanted to blame Sarutobi Hirozen. Tenten, add more wine. Yes, teacher. After drinking 3 cups in a row, Tsunade signaled Tenten to stop adding wine. Standing up, Tsunade was ready to head to the Hokage building. Taking a deep breath, Tsunade was ready to question her teacher Sarutobi Hirozen. After a long sigh, before leaving, Tsunade turned to Tenten and said something very seriously. If you want to catch up with Tianyu, you have to work very hard. Otherwise, forget it, let's not talk about this. I'm leaving, Tenten. Practice well by yourself. You are not the time to waste at your age. Behind him, Tenten nodded vigorously. I know, teacher. Tsunade went to the Hokage's office this time and did not return to Tianyu's home until midnight. As for what happened in the Hokage's office, no one knew except Sarutobi Hirozen and Tsunade. Tenten rarely asked Tsunade about this topic. Tenten worked hard on training all day today. And Tianyu was still in the forging room. The next day, the discussion about the legendary 3 ninjas, Tsunade smashed the #1 training ground with the 1 punch spread all over Konoha. Tenten was not at home today. She gathered with her ninja team early in the morning. They had an A-level mission to help farmers hoe the fields. Tenten, I heard that you worshipped Tsunade-sama as your master. In the field, a man with a Konoha ninja on his forehead and long black hair, Hyuga Niji, suddenly asked. Ah. How did you know? I was accepted as a disciple by Tsunade-sama yesterday. Hyuga Niji pursed his lips. You guys made such a big fuss at the #1 training ground yesterday. Konoha has already spread it all over Konoha. Tsunade-sama really smashed the training ground with the 1 punch. Hyuga Niji asked. Chapter 94 Rock Lee's advice. Yes. Tenten nodded. Tsunade-sensei is amazing. Really? 1 punch. On the side, Hyuga Niji clenched his fist. As a member of the branch family of the Hyuga clan, he has a caged bird seal on his forehead. Hyuga Niji really wants to break this bondage. As long as they are from the branch family of the Hyuga clan, there is no one who does not want to break the caged bird restriction. Breaking through the restriction means that Hyuga Niji must at least have the power comparable to that of the head of the Hyuga clan. The Hyuga clan is now the largest clan in Konoha, and as the head of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hayashi is not weak in strength. In Hyuga Niji's opinion, perhaps Hyuga Hayashi's strength is even similar to that of Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas. And Tsunade can smash the training ground of Konoha with 1 punch. This powerful strength makes Hyuga Niji feel suffocated. Wow. Lady Tsunade is so strong. Are the other 2 of the 3 ninjas as strong as Lady Tsunade? Oh. I'm burning. This is youth. On the side, Zio Lee, who had a watermelon-shaped hairstyle, had a fire burning in his eyes. I will work hard to reach Lady Tsunade's level as soon as possible. Today's training of running upside down around Konoha, at 100 more laps. Tiantian. Well said, Lee. Another green-skinned watermelon head appeared here. He gave a thumbs up to the smaller green-skinned watermelon head, showing his white teeth. Work hard and sweat. This is youth. 1 big and 1 small. The 2 green-skinned watermelon heads ran towards each other in tears under the morning sun and hugged each other tightly. Alice, Tiantian sighed. She was no longer surprised by this. It started again. I don't know how long it will take for them to return to normal. Tiantian, how did you become a disciple of Lady Tsunade? Hyuga Niji on the side paused for a while and suddenly asked Tiantian. With a strong mentor, he will surely improve a lot. Hyuga Niji also wanted a strong mentor to mentor him, not my guy, the hot-blooded idiot who only shouted the word youth. This. Tenten was slightly stunned, and then told Hyuga Niji, my brother asked Tsunade to accept me as a disciple. Your brother? Tianyu. Hyuga Niji was a little confused. He didn't understand how Tianyu was connected to Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas. What? Brother Tianyu. The little green-skinned watermelon-headed Rock Lee on the side really abandoned my guy's swimming cannon, and rushed to Tenten with stars in his eyes. Is Brother Tianyu back? I haven't seen Brother Tianyu for a long time. Tenten nodded calmly, as a response to Lee's question. After so long, she still couldn't understand why Lee was so passionate. Ahem. My guy, who was abandoned by Lee, was very embarrassed for a moment. Yes, Tianyu is back, and he has a vacation period. He should have been tinkering with something in their forging room in the past few days. Tianyu is amazing. I heard that he completed an extremely dangerous S-level mission this time. Hearing this, The fire of blood in Rock Lee's eyes boiled even more. And Hyuga clenched his fists even tighter. The gap between him and Tianyu was really getting bigger and bigger. 10-10, 10-10. Lee's voice was extremely excited. After the mission is over, can I go to your house to find Brother Tianyu? Don't you have to train after the mission? How can you come when it's dark after you finish training? Little Lee was entangled. Training. Brother Tianyu and Rock Lee was wavering between the two. At this time, Might Guy stood up. His big white teeth were exposed again. Lee. You can go to Tiantian's house to see Tianyu and ask him to teach you. That way you don't have to worry about it. That's right. After being enlightened by Might Guy, Lee's eyes burst into dazzling light. As expected, Teacher Guy is more thoughtful than us. Have you ever thought that Tianyu is busy and has no time to teach you, or he is not willing to teach you at all? Hyuga on the side snorted coldly, pouring cold water on Lee. This. Lee was about to get tangled up again, and the big green-skinned watermelon head stood up again. Don't worry, Lee. Tianyu is not such a stingy person. Even if he has something to do, he will put down what he is doing to teach you. Teacher Guy, but will this cause trouble to Brother Tianyu? No, Lee. After responding to Rock Lee, Kai also looked up at the horizon. I haven't seen Tianyu for a long time. After the mission is over, let's go to Tiantian's house to find Tianyu together. The sun sets in the west. The afterglow of the sunset dyes Konoha into golden color. Tianyu is still tinkering with puppet dolls in his forging room. Well, the things for Tsunade have been made. I will find a chance to give them to her later. Although he never leaves the house and doesn't chat with Tsunade, Tianyu knows that Tsunade is not in a good mood. Since Tsunade went to the Hokage building yesterday, Tsunade seems to have been in a bad mood. Although Tsunade has never shown her unhappiness, Tianyu still found out. How did he find out? Counting yesterday and today, it has been 2 days. Have you seen Tsunade go to the casino? So Tianyu concluded that Tsunade was not in a good mood. As for what Tianyu didn't know, he didn't ask. Tsunade accepted Tiantian as her apprentice, which was a favor to Tianyu. Tianyu would naturally not ignore Tsunade's difficulties. Why didn't Tianyu ask Tsunade if she encountered any difficulties? This is in Konoha. Is there anything that Tsunade can't handle in Konoha? Ding ding, dong dong. In the forging room, the sound of hammers hitting metal rang out continuously. I'm back. At the door of Tianyu's house, the door opened, and Tiantian's lively voice rang out, but no one responded to her. Tianyu was immersed in the forging room, and the ninja tool shop also needed someone to look after it. Tiantian and Tianyu's parents were not at home at this time. My brother should be in the forging room. You go to the living room and sit for a while. I'll go call him. The forging room is an important place for Tianyu. Although Xiaoli and Might Guy are not outsiders, it is better not to let them step into Tianyu's forging room. Tiantian is still very clear about this. Hey, brother. Tiantian did not go into the forging room, but just called Tianyu loudly at the door. Might Guy, Rock Lee, and Niji are here to see you. Hey, can you hear me? At this time, the rhythmic ding and dong sounds in the forging room paused for a moment. I see, you go and accompany them first. I'll come after I finish the work I have on hand. Chapter 95 Death Forest. Tianyu in the forging room responded. Usually when he was at home, he would not always enter his forging space. Occasionally, he would use the forging room that his parents had helped him expand to forge ninja tools. Otherwise, it would always be strange for him to take out so many ninja tools out of thin air. Besides, this new forging room was also a kind of support from his parents. Forging in the new forging room would also make his parents feel very comfortable. Tiantian did not forget to say at this time, remember to take a shower before coming here later. You have been in the forging room for another day, and your clothes must be dirty. Just throw the dirty clothes in the laundry room, and I will wash them for you later. Okay, I know. After Tianyu finished speaking, the rhythmic sound of metal beating in the forging room sounded again. Tianyu started to tinker with his work again. Half an hour later, Tianyu temporarily stopped the forging work, took a shower, threw the dirty clothes in the laundry room, and changed into clean clothes and walked into the living room. Hey, hello, everyone. Teacher Guy, it's been a long time since we last met. The same goes for Lee and Niji. Tianyu smiled and greeted the members of Tiantian's ninja team. Among them, He had the deepest friendship with Might Guy. Lee was also okay. As for why Niji came to his house to find him, Tianyu was a little confused, but he didn't mention it. He received everyone with a polite smile. Tianyu, you've grown taller again. Might Guy looked Tianyu up and down and said with a smile. Brother Tianyu, long time no see. Lee responded excitedly. Among them, Hyuga Niji, who was the least familiar with Tianyu, nodded, long time no see. Brother Tianyu, I heard from Teacher Guy that you just came back from an S-level mission and are on vacation. Lee was straightforward and said what he was thinking directly. How is it, Brother Tianyu? Is the S-level mission difficult? How do you feel after completing the S-level mission? S-level missions are quite difficult. Don't underestimate the danger of S-level missions. Tianyu warned Xiaoli. Xiaoli is still young, and children are most likely to blindly form wrong values. So Tianyu warned Xiaoli seriously that the S-level mission is not a joke. Then, Tianyu smiled. It's a long-lost farewell, there is no need to be so serious. I was lucky in this mission. I barely completed this S-level mission with the help of the members of the Anbu team. Really? Brother Tianyu was just lucky. S-level missions are so dangerous at this time, an inappropriate voice sounded. Lee, don't listen to Tianyu's nonsense. How can he be lucky? He is the captain of the Anbu team. He is the strongest in their Anbu team. Might Guy, a senior ninja, directly exposed Tianyu's lies. He said to Lee, Lee, Tianyu is already so strong, you must not lose to him. You must work hard to train, and strive to run 500 laps around Konoha every day, so that you can catch up with Tianyu. I believe in you, Lee. Yes, Teacher Kai. Lee immediately straightened his body as if he had heard a military order. Is the captain of the Anbu Tianyu already so strong? Hyuga Niji was stunned, and accidentally revealed his surprise. Ha, yes. Might Guy laughed and added again, the captain of the Anbu must have the strength of a Jonin to sit in this position, plus the identity of the Anbu. Tianyu's treatment in Konoha is almost the same as mine. Hyuga Niji was stunned. He knew that Tianyu was very strong. But he couldn't believe that Tianyu was so strong. Teacher Kai, you are joking. How can I be on the same level with Teacher Kai? Tianyu laughed. He would never forget the relationship between Might Guy and him as a teacher and student. Teacher Kai, Rock Lee, and Hyuga Niji, we haven't seen each other for a long time. You wait here for a while. I'll go outside to buy some good dishes and we can have a good chat. Tianyu stood up. He couldn't let guests sit idle when they came to his house. Especially among them was Might Guy, who taught him the 8 gates. Ha, no need, Tianyu. We are not here to eat. Rock Lee and I haven't seen you for a long time. I came to see you. By the way, Rock Lee wants you to give him some advice on his training. Teacher Kai, Rock Lee was a little embarrassed. He was still afraid that he would cause trouble to Brother Tianyu. Tianyu smiled and said, okay. Before Rock Lee could say anything more, Tianyu agreed. It's just right that I can see how Rock Lee is doing in his training. Then shall we leave now? After a moment of silence, Tianyu said, go to the number 1 training ground. As soon as the words came out, Might Guy, Rock Lee, and Hyuga Niji didn't say anything, and Tiantian lowered his head silently. What happened? Training ground number 1 cannot be used now. Xiaoli answered Tianyu silently, and added, training ground number 1 was destroyed by Tiantian and Lady Tsunade yesterday. Hearing this, Tianyu turned his head to look at Tiantian, but Tiantian had already lowered his head and avoided Tianyu's sight. It's none of my business. I have advised Teacher Tsunade, but she insisted on doing it. Tiantian muttered with her head down. Well, let's go to training ground number 2. The ninja school graduation examination is approaching. Training grounds number 2 and number 3 are occupied by a large number of ninja school students who are about to graduate from the ninja school today. Hyuga Niji on the side added. Then this. Tianyu didn't know where to go. Let's go to the death forest outside Konoha. There are not many people disturbing there. It is a good place to practice. Might Guy gave another suggestion. Hey. Hyuga Niji stood up suddenly. There are many wild animals in the death forest. It's very dangerous. It's okay, let's go to the death forest. Tianyu said with a smile, and the training venue was finalized. Dangerous? Under the care of Tianyu and Might Guy, to elite Jonin, what problems can happen to Tiantian and Xiaoli? Yes, I'll listen to Tianyu. Rock Lee, who was promised by Tianyu to guide his training, was excited again and again, and didn't care about the dangers that Tianyu said. And Tiantian. She is Tianyu's biological sister, how could she not trust her biological brother? She naturally listened to Tianyu. Among the 5 people, only Hyuga was out of tune with him. It seems that Hyuga is not a member of the Might Guy ninja team, but Tianyu is a member of this ninja team. Okay, let's go. With a loud shout, the group of people, including the somewhat reluctant Hyuga, headed towards the Death Forest together. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96. What have I done? Konoha Tornado. Konoha Big Tornado. Deep in the Death Forest, Rock Lee in a green tights was trying his best to use his physical skills to attack Tianyu. Tianyu easily moved his hands and resolved Rock Lee's attack. It was Tianyu's idea to let Rock Lee attack him. If you want to know a person's strength, fighting him is the clearest and most intuitive way. Deep in the Death Forest, Rock Lee fought heartily. Kai, who was standing by, saw that Rock Lee's strength was improving well and nodded with satisfaction. Tiantian was bored and teasing the bugs on the ground. Hyuga white eyes were staring at Tianyu's every move. He actually resolved Rock Lee's attack so easily. If you were to fight Rock Lee, he wouldn't be able to do this. When Rock Lee and Tengo were having a great time, Hyuga stood up and said, "Tengo, can I ask you for some advice? Can you fight me?" During the fight, Tengo raised his hand again to dissolve Rock Lee's attack. He turned to look at Niji and said, "Of course, but you have to wait until Rock Lee and I are done." Although Tengo was not familiar with Niji, he was at least a member of Kai's team, and he came to his house with Might Guy, Rock Lee and Ten to visit him. Of course, Tengo could not refuse. However, the priorities must be distinguished. Rock Lee was in the front and guided Rock Lee. Tengo would do his best to give practical solutions. Hyuga, yes, would not be too careless. The sky gradually darkened, and it was late. If Hyuga was still there would not be much time. After all this, Tengo also planned to invite Might Guy and his group to have a simple meal. Teacher Kai and Rock Lee came to see him, so Tianyu naturally had to warmly welcome Might Guy and Xiaoli. This is the proper etiquette between teachers, students and friends. Xiaoli, it's getting late today, show your true ability. Yes, brother Tianyu. Xiaoli separated from Tianyu by several meters, and then removed the weight he had been wearing from his leggings. Bang! The weight was thrown on the ground, and there were 2 loud noises. Dust flew and filled the Death Forest. Xiaoli actually carried such a heavy weight. Hyuga was shocked and opened his mouth wide, and he didn't come back to his senses for a long time. Is this still the last one in his eyes? Brother Tianyu, be careful. Xiaoli said in an excited voice. Tianyu nodded, and then Rock Lee moved. He started to attack. Whoosh! Xiaoli's attack speed is comparable to the speed of Kunai flying, so fast that it is hard to keep up. Watching Xiaoli's figure suddenly appear in the east, and then emerge from the west. Hyuga eyes didn't stop rolling for more than half a second. So fast. So fast that he could barely keep up with it as a bystander. Xiaoli is actually very capable. A drop of sweat seeped out from Hyuga forehead. Even if he has learned the Kaiten, he can't seem to win against Xiaoli. With Xiaoli's extremely fast and continuous attack frequency, he can only defend against the Kaiten once, but not for a while. Unless he keeps using the Kaiten. But Hyuga doesn't have enough chakra, which doesn't allow him to do so. Hyuga clenched his fists tighter. As the former head of the ninja school, he couldn't even beat Rock Lee, who was at the bottom of the list. Depressed, he was really too decadent. With a Byakugan, which is very convenient, Hyuga also discovered one thing, Tianyu. After Rock Lee's speed increased by several levels, he still stood still in the face of Rock Lee's frequent and extremely fast attacks, and resolved Rock Lee's attacks without taking a step. How strong is Tianyu? Exclamation mark. Not bad. Tianyu praised Rock Lee during the battle with Rock Lee. Your speed didn't decrease despite such frequent attacks. Your endurance is enough. Rock Lee, It seems that you can increase your weight a little more. During the battle, Tianyu made a suggestion for Rock Lee's training. Yes, brother Tianyu. Hearing Tianyu's words, Rock Lee stopped. By the way, did Mr. Kai teach you the 8 gates of Dunjia? Tianyu suddenly asked. Xiao Li nodded. Learned it. Learned it. How many gates can you open? Now, I can barely open the 4th gate. Tianyu nodded and said, then you open the 2nd gate first, let me see. Ah. Xiao Li was surprised. Tianyu asked in confusion, what's wrong? Haven't you practiced it yet? Ah, no. There is no problem with the practice of the 8 gates, don't worry, brother Tianyu. It's just... Xiao Li was a little entangled. Tianyu asked, it's just... I saved this move for Niji Hyuga Niji? Xiao Li still has a trump card? Exclamation mark. I can't beat Xiao Li after he unloads the weight, and he still has a trump card, and he's still saving it to deal with him? Hyuga Niji wanted to curse. Ha, Li, it's okay. Just use it if Tianyu tells you to. Might Guy on the side laughed. After my guy's signal, Xiao Li also nodded. Brother Tianyu, be careful. 8 gates, open. Open. Shu gate, open. In an instant, Rock Lee opened 2 gates in a row, and a large amount of chakra rose from his body. For a moment, Rock Lee's speed was raised several levels again. Boom, boom, boom. The dull sound of fists and feet rang out, and Hyuga Niji's eyes could no longer keep up with Rock Lee's movements. And Tianyu. Although Rock Lee is a Jinan, he has to take it seriously after opening the 8 gates. Tianyu focused. After a while, Tianyu saw that Rock Lee's physical condition had no adverse reactions, so he said, Rocker Lee, open the 3rd gate. Yes, brother Tianyu. Shingman, open. Once again, Rock Lee's chakra rose like a raging fire. Rock Lee's speed was even faster. He reached another level. Hyuga Niji could only occasionally catch a glimpse of Rock Lee's figure. After opening the 3 gates, Rock Lee was extremely powerful. It was still a bit difficult for Tianyu to rely on pure physical skills. For example, he could no longer stand still and dissolve Rock Lee's moves like before. Well, the state of the 3rd gate is also stable. Rock Lee, open the 4th gate for me to see. Okay. With an order, Rock Lee obeyed Tianyu's words and suddenly opened the 4th gate. Open the wound gate. Rock Lee's chakra doubled again. With a blessing of a large amount of chakra, Rock Lee's speed was even faster. Hyuga Niji's white eyes could only capture Rock Lee's afterimage. In response, Hyuga Niji's expressionless face twitched several times in succession. He wanted to say MMP Hyuga Niji, what the hell am I worthy of, that Rock Lee kept such a trick and prepared such a big move for me? Chapter 97 80% Strength. Little Lee, stop. Deep in the forest of death, Tianyu stopped Little Lee's attack and signaled him to stop the 8 gates. Rock Lee stopped immediately. A few meters away from Tianyu, he released the 8 gates. A strong sense of fatigue surged from the bottom of his heart, making Little Lee gasp for air. Open the 4th gate, your chakra control is unstable, and your body is not yet compatible with a huge amount of chakra. Well, you need to practice more before opening the 4th gate. For the 5th gate, you need to train your body more. Otherwise, if you force the 5th gate, your body will be crushed by the excessive chakra. Little Lee nodded, I know, thank you, brother Tianyu. Tianyu also grinned, Little Lee, you have made great progress, not bad. Let's stop here today. Remember, unless you encounter a life and death battle, you must not force the 5th gate to open. After that, Tianyu reminded him again. Little Lee nodded heavily, I will listen carefully to brother Tianyu. At this point, Rock Lee's guided practice ended. Then Tianyu turned around and said, Ningji, come on, it's your turn. Seeing how fierce Lee was, Hyuga Niji was still in a daze. It's his turn? Hyuga Niji shook his head subconsciously, no, I'll ask you for advice next time. You didn't just say that. Tianyu was a little confused, wondering what happened to Hyuga Niji. Just now when Tianyu was fighting with Lee, he jumped out and said that he also wanted to ask Tianyu for guidance. Why did he change his mind in such a short time? Tianyu was a little puzzled, but he didn't force Niji. Training and fighting are good for others. Hyuga Niji is not familiar with Tianyu, and Tianyu agreed to him just for the sake of Might Guy. Now that he gave up the benefit himself, Cheyenne, I would rather have less trouble than more. Well, it's not dark yet, there's still plenty of time. I'll treat everyone to a simple meal. Hyuga Niji suddenly withdrew from guiding the battle, so there was plenty of time. Well, we could find a better restaurant outside to have a few drinks with Teacher Kai. Ahem. Since Niji won't come, then I'll do it. On the side, Might Guy suddenly stood up and said to Tianyu, seeing you and Xiaoli fighting so passionately, I'm also excited. Tianyu, we haven't fought for a long time, let me see how strong you are now. Up this. Tianyu was depressed by Might Guy's words. Fighting with Might Guy is different from what I thought before. It just so happens that there is no one in this death forest, and you can let go. Come on, Tianyu. You're not going to reject me, are you? Might Guy added in surprise. Reject Might Guy? To be honest, Tianyu really wants to. But Might Guy is his teacher, the teacher who taught him the 8 gates, and who has been very kind to him. Tianyu naturally cannot spoil the fun of Teacher Kai. Well, okay. There are not many people in the death forest anyway. Come on, Teacher Kai. But it's getting late, and we have to go to eat later, just show 80% of your strength. After saying that, Tianyu directly opened the 8 gates, an overwhelming chakra gushed out of him. The huge amount of chakra surged, and the wind it raised made the treetops in the death forest sway greatly. Hyuga Niji was blown by the violent wind and almost fell to the ground. Tianyu. He's so strong, Hyuga Niji stammered. Seeing the condensed and substantial chakra, Tianyu's strength has completely exceeded his worldview. 80%. 80% is so strong. Hyuga Niji was a little dull. At the same time, Might Guy also laughed loudly, and then he also opened the 8 gates. A huge amount of chakra that was concentrated to the point of becoming substantial, just more than that of Tengo, also gushed out of his body. Hyuga Niji was once again confused. He looked like a hot-blooded fool, and Might Guy, who kept saying the word youth every day, was surprisingly powerful. Tengo, I won't hold back. Teacher Kai, just come with confidence. After Might Guy and Tengo said something to each other, they started fighting and wrestled together. The strength of Tengo and Might Guy is beyond doubt. Both of them are elite Chunin, and both of them have opened the 8 gates. At this moment, Hyuga Niji's worldview completely collapsed. Might Guy and Tengo were very fast. So fast that Hyuga Niji couldn't even see their after images. All he could hear was a dull loud noise floating in the air. This was the collision between the two fists. Although the main force was on each other, Tianyu and Might Guy were too powerful. The little bit of aftermath of the battle that overflowed shattered the towering trees around them. The powerful fist pressure stirred up the wind and clouds in this place. The strong wind blew Rock Lee and Hyuga Niji away from the center of the battle. In addition, the strong wind broke the wastes of some large trees around them. The trees were shattered and the trunks were broken. Might Guy and Tianyu did not intend to mess up the death forest, but they left the death forest in ruins. Is this the strength of Tianyu and Might Guy? Seeing the tornado destroy the parking lot, cough cough, seeing the aftermath of the battle between the two people turning the death forest into a wasteland, Hyuga Niji, he finally knew how strong ninjas could be. Half an hour later, the wind in the death forest stopped fighting, and Might Guy and Tianyu walked out of the center of the battle one after another. Ha ha ha, this battle was really refreshing. Tianyu, you've become much stronger. After the hearty fight, Might Guy was in a very happy mood. No matter how strong I am, I can't be better than Teacher Kai. Tianyu answered very modestly and politely. It's rare for a teacher to be surpassed by a disciple without feeling sad. Tianyu didn't want such a cheerful Might Guy to become melancholy. Don't you dare say that. Might Guy rolled his eyes at Tianyu. Don't I know what's going on with you? Is this your full strength? You didn't even take out the ninja tools you made. Those things are your main force. Even if you want to cheat me, can you at least be sincere? What? This is not full strength? Hyuga Niji was completely stunned. This earth-shaking strength is not full strength? Moreover, Teacher Kai seemed to say that Tianyu's main force and main combat power are in other places. If Tianyu takes out all his strength, how strong will Tianyu be? Exclamation mark. Tianyu, how strong is he? Exclamation mark. Chapter 98 The Secret of Becoming Stronger. Teacher Kai, Lee, and Niji, don't rush back, I'll treat everyone to a meal. After the battle, everyone gathered together, and Tianyu took the initiative to invite everyone to have a meal together. Ha ha ha, Okay. Might Guy has always been a straightforward person, and he has a good relationship with Tianyu. He will not be polite to Tianyu. It's quite late now, most restaurants are about to close, why don't we go to your house to eat? It's just right that I can have a couple of drinks, and I'll stay at your house for a night when I'm drunk. Might Guy really doesn't treat himself as an outsider. Tianyu is also happy. Okay, if Lee and Niji are too lazy to go back, you can also stay at my house. Tianyu's house has been renovated. It is more than 1,000 square meters. Naturally it can accommodate Might Guy and others. Lee is also like Might Guy, a straightforward person, without so many twists and turns. Brother Tianyu, is that true? Great, then I will stay at Brother Tianyu's house today. And Hyuga Niji. He is a clan disciple of the Hyuga clan, and he has relatively more etiquette and rules. And Hyuga Niji has always been a little self-willed. Of course, he will not stay at other people's homes. Even before today, Hyuga Niji would not even go to Tianyu's house for dinner at this time. After seeing the strength of Tianyu and Might Guy, he still couldn't refuse to dine with these two strong men who collapsed his worldview. On the way home, passing by some restaurants that were not closed yet, Tianyu ordered a few dishes to take home. When he got home, a group of people had a small party together. Ha, this wine is really strong. Come on, Tianyu, drink a glass with me, otherwise it would be so lonely if I drink alone. In Tianyu's home, in the banquet hall, Might Guy was slightly drunk and in a very good mood. With his drunken face, he persuaded Tianyu to raise a glass with him. On the scene, except for Might Guy, no one is an adult. Well, although Tianyu is also underage, in Might Guy's eyes, Tianyu is no longer a child. No, Mr. Kai, I'm still a child. Is it appropriate for you to persuade me to drink like this? Tianyu rejected. As a craftsman, drinking too much will cause the craftsman's nerve paralysis. Over time, the body will feel slightly numb, which is not good for forging. Especially for Tianyu, who needs high-tech drawings given by the forging system. Those things require ultra-high precision. If there is a slight mistake, it will be a result of a difference of 1 centimeter. Of course, this does not mean that Tianyu cannot drink. He occasionally drinks a few glasses, which will not affect his body. But, Might Guy, drinking with Mr. Kai, who will make himself fall asleep after drinking, Mr. Kai will force Tianyu to drink. So Tianyu simply found the excuse of child to shirk. After 3 rounds of wine, the dishes have 5 flavors. Might Guy and Rock Lee were enjoying their meal, and Rock Lee's face was also red. Might Guy saw that he couldn't get Tianyu drunk, so he asked Rock Lee to drink with him. During this time, Hyuga Niji also plucked up the courage to ask Tianyu, Senior, can I ask how you became so strong in a short time? Can you teach me the secret? Hyuga Niji was not familiar with Tianyu, and it was obviously presumptuous to ask such a question, but Tianyu didn't blame him. He smiled and said, it's easy to become stronger. You learn from Rock Lee, practice more, and you will naturally become stronger. Hyuga Niji frowned. Obviously he was not satisfied with Tianyu's answer. When God gives a great task to a person, he must first make his heart and mind suffer, his muscles and bones work hard, and his body starve. Tianyu read out a famous saying from his previous life. Hyuga Niji was startled and savored Tianyu's words carefully. God gives a great task to a person. Great task. Hyuga Niji does have a great task. He was dissatisfied that the people of the Hyuga branch family would be kept in cages by the main family. He wanted to overthrow this system of the Hyuga clan. Isn't this a great task? Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Hyuga Niji thanked Tianyu respectfully. After a while, Hyuga Niji said to the drunk Might Guy, Teacher, I also want to learn the 8 gates of the ninjutsu. Can Teacher Kai teach me? At this time, Might Guy was already drunk, and his hearing was reduced. He didn't notice that Hyuga Niji was talking to him. Teacher Kai, Hyuga Niji spoke again. I can't teach you this move. Tianyu answered Hyuga Niji for Might Guy. Why? The 8 gates of the ninjutsu is a forbidden technique. To put it bluntly, the 8 gates of the ninjutsu is a forbidden technique that costs overdrawn vitality. I'm not afraid. Hyuga Niji rushed to answer. It's not a question of whether you are afraid or not, it's that you simply can't bear the backlash of the 8 gates. What about Xiaoli? Tianyu rolled his eyes unhappily. Xiaoli maintains high-intensity exercise every day, And his physical fitness is already very strong, so he can barely use the 8 gates. Hyuga Niji lowered his head in thought for a while, and said, "Is that so? But I can also exercise." Tianyu chuckled, "Let me tell you this, apart from me and Might Guy, Xiaoli should be the one with the strongest physical fitness in Konoha." After a slight pause, Tianyu added, "Even the Hokage may not have a strong physical fitness as Xiaoli." Hyuga Niji was stunned. He thought that Might Guy was biased in teaching Xiaoli and not him. It turned out that Xiaoli. Hyuga Niji muttered in a low voice. "Hey, looking at your posture, are you going to drink all night?" At this time, a crisp voice of a queen sounded from the door. A blonde girl with a huge body stood at the door and appeared in everyone's sight. Tsunade-sama. Might Guy sobered up immediately. As a ninja from a slightly earlier era, Might Guy had great respect for Tsunade-sama, one of the 3 ninjas. "Tsunade-sama, why are you here?" Might Guy immediately saluted Tsunade and asked. "You are?" Tsunade frowned. She didn't seem to know this man very well. "He is my teacher, Might Guy." Tianyu introduced Tsunade. "Oh? Your teacher?" Tsunade looked Might Guy up and down, and then explained to him, "Why am I here? I will live in Tianyu's house during this time in Konoha." "Well, is this answer okay?" Might Guy opened his mouth wide in surprise, revealing his white teeth. At the same time, he looked at Tianyu in disbelief. "This kid. Is he so close to Tsunade-sama?" "Tsunade-sama, are you here to see me for something?" Tianyu ignored Might Guy and turned to look at Tsunade. Tsunade glanced at Might Guy, and Might Guy immediately said, "We will avoid it now." "Forget it, no need to avoid it, it's not a big deal." Tsunade nodded. "I was going to talk to you after you guys got together, but seeing that you guys were going to drink all night, I came to find you." Tianyu tilted his head and listened quietly. "The transfer order has officially come down, and your current position has been officially transferred to the captain of the Anbu. Old man Saratobi also asked me to inform you that you, a promising graduate of the ninja school, should return to the ninja school to cheer up the younger generation and encourage the new generation of Konoha." Captain of the Anbu. Might Guy was shocked again. Anbu captain. He can still say that he is on par with Tianyu. But the status of the captain of the Anbu in the village is one level higher than that of Might Guy, who is a senior ninja. Although it is said that status does not represent strength, but at this age, he has such strength, and he has entered the core of Konoha's Anbu and served as the captain of the Anbu. His disciple Tianyu is really too promising. It has only been a short time, and he has surpassed his teacher? It is simply that the disciple is better than the master? Might Guy was a little emotional. But in his heart, he was more blessing his outstanding disciple. "Tianyu, congratulations." "Xiaoli, wow, brother Tianyu, you are so awesome." "Hyuga Niji, well, congratulations." "Okay, the matter has been conveyed to you, you guys drink slowly, I'm going back to sleep." And Tsunade, after informing Tianyu of the news, said goodbye to everyone. Chapter 99, Selection of Sister-in-Law. "Brother, didn't you hear me? Brother, why don't you get up yet?" Tiantian walked into Tianyu's room. Then she saw her brother, lying on the bed with his legs spread out, sleeping soundly. Then Tiantian's heart was suddenly touched, and she tiptoed to Tianyu's side, and saw her brother lying on the bed, revealing half of his side face, looking angular, with fair skin and long black eyelashes like a fan. Tisk tisk tisk, brother is really getting more and more handsome. Tiantian couldn't help but think in her heart, if she wants to find a boyfriend in the future, he must be more handsome than her brother, right? Otherwise, she grew up with her brother since she was a child, and was baptized by his beautiful face every day. I'm afraid she can't accept someone who is not good looking enough. Wait, but if she thinks like this, she seems to have never seen anyone more handsome than her brother so far. Even if it was Hyuga Niji, who was once hailed as the school grass of their class, she felt that his appearance was just average, and he was still far behind her brother. Oh my god. Tiantian covered her face with her hands, wondering in her heart, would she never get married because her brother had raised her standards? If that was the case, her brother would have to take responsibility. But if she thought about it another way, if she really never got married and just lived with her brother like this, it seemed pretty good. It wouldn't matter even if her brother found her a sister-in-law, she would definitely get along well with her sister-in-law. As for sister-in-law, she thought that Hinata Hyuga, the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan, was not bad. She was born in a big family and was the daughter of the clan leader. Although she was of noble status, she did not have the character of looking down on others. Even compared to Niji Hyuga, who was from the branch family, her character was more approachable. She was simply the perfect sister-in-law in her mind. As for her master Tsunade, although she was very powerful, although she had a strong figure, although her appearance was very resistant to beating, however, she was old and had a violent personality. No, absolutely not. As for the other blonde who sends flowers every week, she looks pretty good and has a cheerful personality, but she always looks a bit like a nympho. Let's put her in the assessment area first. Just when Tiantian was lost in thought, a face suddenly enlarged in front of her. Tiantian was immediately startled and couldn't help but fall backwards. But the man opposite was quick-witted and grabbed her at once. "Brother, why are you scaring me?" After seeing that the person in front of her was her brother, Tiantian couldn't help but say, "I want to ask you." Tianyu frowned and said, "You little girl, you don't sleep in your room early in the morning, you run to sit by my bed, and you are still grinning here. What do you want to do?" "Grinning? How could I?" Tiantian quickly reached out and touched her face, and then she realized that she was indeed grinning. This is so embarrassing. She would never say that she was considering the candidate for her future sister-in-law. That? I came to see you for something important." Tiantian's eyes moved, and she immediately found a topic to change. She came to her brother's room early in the morning, so of course she had something important to do. "What is it?" "Brother, you didn't forget, did you? The Hokage asked you to give a speech to the new graduates as an outstanding graduate today." Tiantian said with a surprised look. Is there such a thing?" Tianyu's face was even more surprised. Tiantian had a speechless expression on her face. "Brother, did you really forget such an important thing? This is an opportunity that many people dream of." Tiantian couldn't help but hold her forehead. She found that her brother was really a little strange. He seemed a little careless, but in fact he could notice many details that others didn't notice at all. Obviously, as an outstanding student representative, going to the ninja school to give a speech is an opportunity that many people dream of, enough to make them excited and not sleep all night, but it seems to be not worth mentioning to him at all. If I hadn't reminded him, he would have even forgotten about this matter. Moreover, the whole family cheered last week to celebrate his brother's entry into the Anbu, and his promotion to the captain of the Anbu, but his brother didn't seem to care at all. However, his brother always noticed other people's concerns and helped them change in his own way. For example, when he first met Lee, he encouraged his inferiority complex. When he first met Niji, he suppressed his arrogant temper. When he first met Hinata, he paid attention to her sensitive emotions. He was far more delicate and mature than his peers. "Yes, Tsunade did tell me such a thing yesterday." Tianyu nodded and got up from the bed. "Thanks for reminding me, otherwise I would have forgotten about it." Tianyu got up, washed, changed into clean clothes, said goodbye to Tiantian, and went out. However, he did not go directly to the ninja school, but turned a corner and walked to an apartment complex. This large area of reinforced concrete apartment complex looks much more modern, and is somewhat similar to the buildings in Tianyu's previous life. However, compared with Tianyu's single-family house, the rent or house price of this kind of apartment house is quite low. Generally, people living in this area are not rich. Tianyu walked to the second floor of one of the buildings and knocked on one of the doors. "Brother Tianyu? Why are you here?" Naruto's surprised voice came. When he opened the door, he was holding a bowl of hot instant noodles in his hand. "You eat this in the morning." Tianyu frowned unconsciously. "Didn't I lend you some money before? Why don't you prepare some nutritious breakfast? I lend you money for you to spend, and I'm not in a hurry to ask you to pay it back. And today is the day of your graduation exam, why don't you eat something good? Aren't you worried that you will have a stomach ache during the graduation exam?" In the original work, Naruto was very tight with living expenses at the beginning, so in order to save money, he often ate instant noodles and drank expired milk, which caused him to have a bad stomach at that time and often had diarrhea. This phenomenon was not improved until he became a ninja and could earn commissions. Tianyu had long wanted to change Naruto's living conditions, but Naruto still had a lot of self-esteem. He could treat him occasionally, but when he gave him living expenses directly, Naruto refused to accept it. Even if he lived a tight life, He was unwilling to accept charity from others, and he was very optimistic that instant noodles were delicious. Tianyu knew that this was a very fragile self-esteem that Naruto had always hidden under his carefree appearance. So he did not force Naruto to accept it, but changed away, asking Naruto to accept the money in the name of borrowing money, and he only had to wait until Naruto became a ninja in the future and earned commissions after completing tasks and then return it to him. Of course, Tianyu did not mention the interest. In this way, Naruto nodded and chose to accept it. In fact, Naruto really needed this money. With this money, he could not only improve his food and enhance his nutrition, but also buy some basic training equipment to increase the intensity of his practice. Naruto was very grateful for brother Tianyu's kindness. Although he didn't say it, he had already made up his mind in his heart. When he became a ninja in the future and was able to carry out missions and earn commissions independently, he would not only return the money to brother Tianyu with interest, but also treat him to the most delicious Ichiriko ramen in Konoha. And he would eat 20 bowls. Chapter 100, Blessing of Calamus. After hearing what Tianyu asked, Naruto couldn't help but feel touched. If there was another person in the village who cared about him so much, it must be his elder brother Tianyu. So he shook his head and said, "No, elder brother Tianyu, come in and see, I bought a lot of bread and milk in the refrigerator. This time they are not expired. I ate instant noodles this morning and added an egg to myself, to bless myself to pass the exam smoothly." Isn't there a saying that eating noodles can make you smooth? After listening to Naruto's explanation, Tianyu's complexion really improved a lot. "Then you hurry up and eat, and then we will go to the ninja school together." Huh? Naruto's face was full of surprise. Without thinking, he blurted out, "Brother Tianyu, why are you going to the ninja school? Change your career to become a ninja teacher." Tianyu. "Naruto, how can you be so imaginative? I'm only 13 years old this year, okay, why should I be a teacher in a ninja school?" He explained, "Isn't today your graduation exam? As an outstanding graduate of the previous year, the Hokage asked me to go to the ninja school to give a speech. Oh, it's really a troublesome thing." Wow. Naruto's eyes lit up at once. "Brother Tianyu, are you the kind of person who stands at the front of the podium and hypnotizes us with a long speech like the Hokage did when he went to the ninja school before?" Tianyu's face was full of black lines. "Naruto, should I say that your description is too appropriate or too real? But this matter is indeed of a similar nature." He nodded. "So cool." Naruto stood up from his seat in an instant, his face full of excitement. "I didn't expect that brother Tianyu can already stand in front of everyone and give a speech like the Hokage. It's so cool. Brother Tianyu, you are worthy of being my idol." "Cool?" When I heard your description just now, I couldn't hear the meaning of cool in your description at all. I'm done. Naruto finished his breakfast quickly, and then he and Tianyu went out together, heading towards the direction of the ninja school. On the way, many people frequently cast their eyes over, and most of them were looking at Tianyu. In the past few days, the news that Lady Tsunade had returned to the village had already spread like wildfire, and everyone in the village knew about it. At the same time, there was an astonishing piece of news, which spread throughout the village in just a few days. Tianyu, the eldest son of Tiantian, the owner of the ninja tool shop, was promoted to the captain of the Konoha Anbu at the age of 13. This news was really amazing. Although most of the news about the Anbu members was considered confidential matters in the village, and it was expressly forbidden to leak information, some of the best in the Anbu were still known to the outside world by their original names or code names. For example, in Hatake Kakashi, both his origin and his strength were already well known before he joined the Anbu, so the fact that he is now the head of the Anbu in the village is also an open secret. Of course, when Uchiha Itachi of the Uchiha clan joined the Anbu, that incident also caused a sensation in the entire Konoha. Later, it was the promotion of Tianyu this time. Before Tianyu joined the Anbu and became a member of the Anbu, although it also caused some sensation in the village, those sensations were limited to some information circulated among the major ninja families. They keenly noticed that there seemed to be a genius boy about to rise in the village. And this time Tianyu was promoted to the captain of the Anbu. The news spread so quickly that even ordinary villagers in the village heard a little bit, because the speed of his promotion, whether it was age or time, was really amazing. He at least has the strength of an elite Jonin. 13 years old, elite Jonin, what is this concept? Exclamation mark. Not long ago, He even brought back the body of Kokuzu, who had fought against the first Hokage. His presence was enough to attract the attention of many people in the village. Wow, he is really as young as the rumor said. Yet, he is only 13 years old after all. I didn't expect him to be so handsome. I don't know how many fathers-in-law in the village have their eyes on him, ha ha ha. That makes sense. Brother, you reminded me. My daughter is in the same class as him. I must let my daughter find an opportunity to get along well with him. And many of them also noticed Naruto standing next to Tianyu, and a whispered voice gradually spread, "Hey, why is Lord Tianyu with that fox demon? Yes, why do they look like they have a good relationship? Isn't Lord Tianyu afraid that the fox demon will destroy our village? Is it because Lord Tianyu is very powerful? So he is confident that he can protect our village. Does that mean we don't have to be afraid of the fox demon?" Although Naruto has friends like Tianyu, Tiantian, and Xiaoli, his childhood was not as lonely as in the original work, but his situation in the village has not improved. Those ignorant villagers still regarded him as a fox demon, and were full of fear and hatred towards him, and regarded him as a monster. But because of Tianyu's existence, many people seemed to be less afraid of Naruto. They looked straight at him, and the boy in the orange sportswear seemed to be just an ordinary child. So what had they been afraid of all along? Some people had confused looks on their faces, and at this time, a beautiful woman with long flowing hair walked out of the crowd and stood in front of Tianyu and Naruto. "Sister Aquarius," Naruto said in surprise. Naruto, I heard that you are going to take the graduation exam today." With a very sweet smile on her face, Aim took out a card from her pocket. "This is a free coupon for our ramen. There are 6 in total. I wish you all the best today after the exam. Bring your friends to our house to eat ramen." Naruto's face suddenly turned red, his nose felt sour, and his eyes were a little wet. For a moment, he was so moved that he wanted to cry on the spot. However, he is so old now and will soon become a ninja who can stand on his own. He is not the kind of little kid who cries. He showed a very bright smile on his face and said carelessly, "Thank you, Sister Aim. I will definitely work hard. Yet, come on." After saying that, Aim blinked at Tianyu, and then turned and left. Tianyu just stood aside and smiled without saying a word. Of course, he would not admit that this matter was actually arranged by him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.